To another episode of A Stoked Podcast. I promise y'all, I'm working on an intro. I promise you. Once I get through heat number 3, I'm gonna get it done. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Javon O. Stokes, aka the most opinionated man in comics. To my do this every day. To my left, you're right, or to my right, you're left. The hater's choice, Jamari Stokes, and this is another episode of a Stoked Podcast. And I'm looking forward to tonight. We got another repeat offender. It's like I'm gonna start calling them repeat offenders.
Repeat offenders.
Yes,
I'm not against that.
Yeah. We got a young man who's been on here before. We had a great conversation before. He's doing some good stuff, so we're gonna bring him back and have probably a more. If you watched last episode, you saw how relaxed the conversation was, for lack of a better term. And I'm assuming this will be the same, but that's cool because we're relaxed around here. Before we get into it, as always, check me out at www.visuallystoked.com. I am all over the place. I cannot find anything today. This is terrible. Terrible. There we go. Website. Visuallystoked.com.
You got this though.
I know. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. Probably from the heat. That wasn't a pun. It wasn't a pun. It was actually hot today. And also I'll be at DiasporaCon in Quinnipiac this Saturday. So come through. And Jamari, tell people what you got going on next week.
Next week, I will be. My school allows me to throw a mini convention every year. You can come on out. This is in the Atlanta area, and I'm still taking it. If you're a creator and you want to bring in your stuff and you want to sell it to a bunch of kids and let them fawn over your art and tell you how great you are, please get in contact with me. I believe Javon will show you at some point the information. Got that out there.
I think I deleted it by mistake.
You deleted it?
I deleted it. It was a mistake. I don't know what I did with it either. Keep talking.
So,
there it is.
Yeah. So
we'll get it in there. Hold on one second. It's coming, folks. There it is.
There it is. So as you can see, we're going to have comics. We're going to have cosplay. We're going to have video games. I get to turn a big chunk of my school into a mini convention. Last year, we had people come in. We had vendors come in. I had artists come in, and he was selling a lot of prints. He was selling things like that. And I would love to have more comic creators involved. I know that Atlanta has them. So if you're thinking about it, if you look down over in that left-hand corner, there's my organization's social media. Get in contact with me, or you can get in contact with me on Facebook, Jamari Stokes. Unfortunately, there's 2 of us, but it's if you get it, I'm there. If you're a fan, if for some reason you know Javon, heaven forbid, you can also find me.
You can reach out to me. All right, okay. Sorry, I'm not going to be there, folks. I tried this. What we experienced for that was me needing a secretary, and and somebody kind of pointing me in, kind of saying, "No, Javon, don't do this on this date because this is happening."
You know, I wish you had told me you were wearing that shirt because I could have worn mine, and that just would have been hilarious.
As for Stokes, all right, let's bring in our guest. He's been sitting in the back for a little too long. You know, people seeing you, they know you, man. So let's welcome Dwayne Robinson Jr.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, you don't get the flowery intro or your second time around, man.
Oh man, I was waiting for it.
Dude,
so
listen, man.
Second time offender.
Listen, if you want to hear the flowery intro after you watch this, go watch that one. There you go. Dude, I've been so busy doing this book, man. I getting ready for cons coming up. I've been too tired. What's good, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. You know, just doing the Kickstarter grind, man. hard, but it's all going good.
Hey, send me the link in the
Chat.
Facebook chat, and then I'll put it up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's good to hear, man. A lot of us doing these Kickstarters.
Yeah, just somebody recently just backed out and changed it, so it dropped down a little bit, but so far so good.
Yeah, it does suck. I already know. I know that for a fact. See, all right. So all right. So we got the new Kickstarter for Nightfall, number 3. Okay. All right. Number 3, getting there, getting up there.
Yeah, one thing about me is that I need to remain being consistent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have been telling me that they like my stuff and they enjoy the things that I've been creating, but haven't really been that consistent. So that's one of the things that I've been really trying to dial down and really get better at. You know what I'm saying? So people, they can like my stuff and then they don't have to wait like a whole year or so to get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I really want to start doing is just really getting my name out there. Talking to people. You know what I mean? Conversating, things of this nature. Because it helps when you make Kickstarters, because when people are familiar with your work and just familiar with you, they're more liable to back you because they know of your product. You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking of you as just this temporary guy that's just coming in and then just this.
Right.
So I want to change that.
Okay. This is crazy because I get more support doing Kickstarters than, like, I released a book on my website. Like, you could buy the book and get it immediately. And I got less people doing that than if I put out a Kickstarter and said, wait a month.
Yeah. I'm actually the opposite. People come to the website. They either, if they get a comic, they usually try to get something else, a hat or a T-shirt. T-shirts is the all over prints is what's really popular. A lot of people like that. I recently made a mouse pad for the company. That's been taken off. A lot of people like that for some strange reason, but if people like it, I'm gonna bring it out. You know what I'm saying? And just
sorry, do what you gotta do, my brother. Do what you gotta do. So give people a little bit of background. We're gonna prop up your Kickstarter, and then
that you got merchandise that people are buying.
Yeah. Tell us about your. Well, actually, shoot me the link for your website.
Yeah,
I was looking for that.
Private.
No, not the Kickstarter. This is the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for the website. Oh, the website. You sent me your website?
No, I'll send that to
you. Yeah. So while you're doing that, give us the background on Nightfall for those that didn't watch the show last time.
Right. So Nightfall, Michael's Awakening is about the main character. His name is Michael Vash. He's a normal college quarterback that finds out from his mother that he has a legacy line of werewolves within him. Now, in issue 1, it's up to him to believe that what she's saying is true or not, because although he loves his mother, there was a lot of unexplained events that had happened. And because of that, the townspeople had dubbed his mom the town crazy woman. So he always had to go through that as a young kid growing up. So when his mom tells him this, he kind of has some doubt. So you find out what happens at the end of issue 1. And in issue 2, it kind of goes more in depth on what exactly is a legacy line and how it differs from other werewolves that reside within the world. The main difference is that when you have a legacy line, you can basically turn into your lichen form or werewolf form at any time. It doesn't have to necessarily be a full moon. But people that are half-breeds, they can only turn during a full moon. And then in the issue 3, it basically continues right off of right where issue 2 ends, with the kind of like a little bit of not a twist really, but like a cliffhanger. Michael's mom, Diana, and Victoria are kidnapped by this mysterious guy named Lucien. And that's pretty much what issue 3 is really about. Who is this mysterious character, Lucien, and why is he so important? Okay. It may seem like he's important because of the fact that he is, the adopted son of the main villain and grandfather, Lucius Vash. But there's more to it. And when you find out, when he takes off his mask and reveals who he is and tells his story, it opens up the world in a whole new way. And issue 3 is really where the story kind of goes into a whole new world.
All right, so everybody who's watching or who are going to be watching, if you're not watching live, go on to the Kickstarter link right below and throw some money at this man.
Yeah, every little bit helps. You know what I mean? $1.
Pretend you're in the Players Club and just start throwing 20s and 30s and 40s. Just make it rain on them. Make it rain. Make it rain.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. You were talking about, we're talking about how you sell, how, selling and which way, like do the Kickstarter or through the website. I know you're a big con guy because you make your rounds.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up next?
Right now I'm actually trying to catch up on it because I've been so diving deep into the animation side of the world of my company. So I've been really just trying to get that done. That's actually going to be one of my stretch goals, is that we're going to send everybody a link to a short of Nightfall Michael's Awakening.
Nice. Okay.
So hopefully we can get to the stretch goals. You know what I mean? We'll see. But if not, I'm gonna hold it in my back pocket. But that's really what we've been kind of focusing on, is that. But the next convention that I'm going to try to go to is a few in Long Island, CradleCon, and then TropicCon, and then BrooklynCon.
Okay. All right. So I get to meet you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If they accept it, I did it kind of late. But they should, because they know, like, I'm a repeated offender for that one too. So they might give me a shot. And then,
okay, all right, yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to Brooklyn Comic Con.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, and a while back, it could be hit or miss. I don't know. There's so many boxes that they missed. I felt like it could have been a lot better in so many different ways. But it was their first time at this venue, so that could be one of the main reasons why it didn't do so well. But only time will tell, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to just go and see how things work out, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Make the best of the bad situation.
So what is how many cons do you usually try to do in a year?
I don't really never have a set number, you know what I mean? If I can get it and I see it, then because there's always some new ones, you know what I mean, that I'm always seeing, or they're either
there are a lot more
year
lately than
that I go to, and then I miss the other one. So it just really depends on where, if I can get in, I'm going. One of the main things that I really want to kind of try to do a lot more though is I want to do ones that's outside of the tri-state area. I'm from New York, so a lot of those conventions are easier accessible for me. But a lot of my friends have been telling me to go to the ones that's way out of state. I mean, there's one in Georgia that I want to go to. There's one in Virginia that I want to go to.
Which one in Virginia?
I forget what it's called. I have it on my list. I have to look at it on my phone. But
I was actually looking at CradleCon.
CradleCon is in Long Island.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at possibly doing it.
Yeah, that one is pretty good. That one is good.
Okay, all right. I mean, because I need money.
Yeah.
Where's the one in Georgia?
Huh?
Where's the one in Georgia?
That one is BlurCon.
That's not in Georgia, man.
That's not in Georgia?
No, that's in Virginia.
Okay, so I got that mixed up with you.
Yeah, we all waiting to hear back.
We definitely got some stuff down here.
We all waiting to hear back from
BlurCon. We got DragonCon, we got MomoCon, we got AW.
Yeah, MomoCon.
I wanted to do MomoCon this year, but again, it fell on the wrong weekend for me.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens too. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's kind of hard to try to plan ahead. Things happen, so you got to kind of change.
Yeah, it sucks because they all kind of open up around the same time.
Yeah.
And if you're like us, we small fish, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a small fish,
right.
But like small fish, we got to pay for each table. So it's almost like you have to decide immediately which ones you want to do. That's the most important, and then figure it out if you could. Because I know for me, I had like 4 that I absolutely wanted to do. And I make sure that they were taken care of. And then after that, I was just kind of like, I would do like the smaller cons and then pay for. I was literally I'm paying for cons as I go.
Right. One of the cons that I actually kind of bummed out that I'm not going to get to go to is the one in Harlem, the Black Comic-Con Festival.
This weekend, right?
Yeah, that one. But the problem with that one, I don't know if you tried to apply to it, but it's
There's nowhere to apply.
right. Yeah, like you gotta know someone to get it. I hit up a few people and they was like, hey, I don't know, so try this link, and I sent this link and they was like, well, I don't know, man, because
Bro, I emailed somebody. They were like, okay, they CC'd somebody on the email. That person never got back to me. I emailed them, and I just got to the point where I just gave up. And I was like, all right, well.
You know what's crazy though, right? Because it seems like now they got everything situated. Because when I saw it again, I was like, let me just see if I could just email this person randomly. So I just hit them like, hey, any more tables? And then they sent me a message like, oh no. And I was like, are you serious?
It's like that sometimes, man. Sometimes
out of all the times I've been trying to hit y'all just randomly now got y'all stuff together.
Because Baltimore Con is kind of like that. There's no real place to apply. You got to email somebody and let them know you want to apply. And then they'll send you the information if there's space. So I had to learn like that real quick. Like, okay, so I got to email this person to do this. Even Brooklyn Comic Con was a bit like, that's why. So it's once
they gave
you don't learn this stuff.
Confirmation though, saying that you're good to go, or
for where? Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm good to go. I didn't pay my money. Like they got my money. So somebody give me a table. My table is booked and my hotel is booked. So somebody gonna give me a table.
So you already get it.
Oh yeah,
I say, we have your application, and we'll send you a message back or whatever.
Oh, that's what they said for you?
Somebody that I knew, and they was like, hey man, have you heard back from them? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I already got my table and everything. He was like, yeah, they said that they was gonna send me a message and they never did. He was sending messages like day of, and they never sent him a message.
So that kind of happened with me with Springfield. Springfield was different because I applied and then they sent me the link to pay for it, but I fell behind because I was paying for all these other cons, and then I lost the email. And so I was reaching out to people, they didn't get back to me, and then I reapplied, and because I reapplied, whatever link that they had was invalidated, and then they put me on the wait list. So now I'm on the wait list, and I'm if you know somebody who knows somebody that can get me in the Springfield Comic Con, holla at your boy. But yeah, I mean, it's not something. Hey, that must be Kenji. What's up, Kenji?
Go on.
The con culture and the process, it really is something that you're not taught that. No. When you jump in, you just kind of like figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's nothing that you can really even, someone can't really teach you, because it's not really contingent on you. It's contingent on the company that you're applying to, and they have to get their stuff together. And if
because
they don't,
everybody starts differently. Yeah.
Right. So there's some conventions that are professionally done, and you deal with that, and then there's some that kind of just be like, hey, let's just wing it, or something like that. And you just got to deal with it. You just got to be flexible to this. Like, all right, they playing games, so let me send them a message again. Send them a message through social media so they can see that I'm serious, and maybe that'll get them going. But that's just what it is, man.
I've always told people there's three phases. Is it 3 or 4 phases? The first phase I'm in right now. What's up, Lonzo? What's good, man?
Yo, what up, man?
Hold on. Kenji, it must be Kenji. You don't want to learn it from someone else. You got to work on your own product. No. I'm not talking about product-wise. I'm talking about like applying for cons and all that other stuff. Like I didn't have any idea how to do it. What'd you say?
Protocol for how to get, what you're doing to get in first, and then when you are actually there, what's that whole process like? How do they treat you?
Yeah, like the first time I did a con, I didn't even realize. First time I did an away con, I didn't realize that they had like a con like discount for hotels.
Oh yeah,
like I didn't know, dude. I didn't know. Lonzo giving you your flowers, man. He's giving you your flowers.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Hope we get to see him in Brooklyn Con too. I think he's going too. So.
Oh, Lonzo going to Brooklyn? I'm gonna see. I think Lonzo said he's doing Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
And I told him about another one, but I don't think I'm doing that one. It's called no, I know I'm not doing it. It's called Contropolis in Philly.
Mm.
And I told him about that.
You joined Tropicon, right?
Where?
Terrificon, I'm sorry.
No, I'm doing Terrificon.
There is a Tropicon though. That's in LA.
There's probably a name for all.
That one is actually pretty nice. It's in a decent hotel.
Where is it?
It's in Long Island.
Oh, okay. That's where you are, right?
No, I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, you're in Brooklyn. Okay.
But
yeah, I wanted to do that Harlem one, man.
Convention. It's only thing is it's only one day, I believe. I think this year is going to be 2 days, but usually it's one day. But when I went, it was a pretty good sell, you know. So
what I've figured out for me is, yes, do the big cons, but these 1 day cons, those are like your bread and butter, man. Like,
yeah,
you get a nice chunk of change real quick, you know, that help you going. Man, I'm not going to Schaumburg, man. I'm not going. And I got a con on Saturday.
Never gave me the confirmation or a message back. I sent messages. I sent everybody.
Me too.
So yeah,
I was sending emails. I was like, tell me.
Right.
Tell me how to do it. Tell me how much I need to pay, because I was there for it, man.
Right.
I'm gonna do it next. I'm gonna try and do it next time. I told, like I said, Saturday I got a con. But I'm actually going to see pull up with me. I'm going to walk around and mingle. I can't go tomorrow, man. I can't go. He's talking to you, Dwayne. He must be talking to you, Dwayne.
I'm gonna see if I can do it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see if I could maybe spot by then, because it is free. The admission is free.
Really?
Yeah, you can just.
Oh man, that table must be a grip, though. Unless they just inviting people.
Someone told me that it wasn't that much.
Unless they just inviting people.
I don't know.
See, that's where I'm trying to get to the point. I've been very. What's up, Danny?
That's a hard thing, man.
Danny and I are not often in lockstep, but we are in lockstep in our desire to start getting invited to cons.
Yeah.
So, you know, we
it's happening. It's gonna happen. Y'all gonna be on there.
I think it's possible, but I don't know. You know, I'm perfectly fine with paying what I gotta do. You know what I mean? Because I always make the table back and more, so I can't never.
Yeah, but it's nice, and you don't.
Of course, yeah, you know, because I mean, I sat next to someone that was actually invited. You know what I mean? I sat next to Kenneth Williams.
Kenneth Williams?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that name.
He's a old school black.
No, you mean Keith Williams?
Oh my God, yeah, thank you, Keith Williams.
No, that's my dog, man.
I'm terrible.
No, I'm sorry, that's my dog, man. Me and Keith, I see Keith at every con I do, man.
Right.
I've seen Keith 3 times this year already.
Yeah.
Already.
The first time I saw him, we were at what is that? Not Cradle Con. What is that other one? Dang. Oh, Eternal Con. That's why I saw him. And that one was kind of crazy though, because I feel like this is kind of the thing that's going on with all the conventions. Honestly, I was talking about this with actually Danny when I was doing his podcast. I feel like a lot of the conventions now they're kind of focusing too much and letting too many cosplayers go, walking around and doing all this stuff, because at times it can take away from people's tables. You know what I mean? Because they just sitting there. Yeah, trust me. They can be sitting there walking around taking pictures, and instead of someone focusing on your table, they looking at the cosplayers, and then they take a picture and they walk away. And then they take your whole. That happened to a few people.
Okay, actually, this is something I want to dig. I want to dig into this. I want to dig into that. So, me, I've had this conversation. Me and Javon have talked about the whole thing with cosplay. So. Now you can tell me if I'm wrong, Javon. Your position is more so about cosplayers getting tables, or the tables being mixed in with Artist Alley and comic artists.
Well, that rarely happens.
Yeah.
That almost never happens. They usually put cosplayers in their own place.
Right.
You know, okay. Artist Alley is generally my what we talked about had nothing to do with cosplay.
Okay. I was kind of maybe I'm okay. You're
no. I was so
yeah. He's right, but he's right on what he said, Javon. You know, like
because I do.
But after a certain time, they get up and they walk around. And so when they walk around, people seeing them and they just like stopping to take pictures with them, and then they bypass your table because they're not even paying attention anymore. And I've seen it happen a few times. You know, it can kind of like be annoying. I remember one time, like I was telling you, when I went to Eternal Con, they were throwing frisbees and playing football. I had to get up and tell someone to go because they were standing right in front of Keith's table. I was like, yo, y'all not about to do that.
I've never experienced that.
It's like,
okay, that
don't have a problem.
That situation could be.
But yeah, you know, they just
No.
walk around and sometimes they can take over your table.
The conversation I had with Jamari was about people who just do prints and just do like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't have a problem with people
like
being there. I have no problem with them. Mm-hmm. My issue with them, and this kind of spilled over into a conversation I had with Victor Dandridge, but not exactly, was when you see the dudes who do prints and they got like 3 tables, like 2-3 tables. That bothers me because that's a table that somebody who's trying to sell a book, like a comic book, could have. It doesn't bother me like I'm gonna go curse them out. Right. It's more like a pinprick, like, you know what I mean, like a little pinch. Like I'd be like, man, you got like 2 tables.
Feel it enough to kind of make you feel a certain type.
Right, like, and they'll have like giant, like, you know, the giant wall of prints. Mm-hmm. And I don't even have a problem with having the wall of prints. I have a wall of prints. My wall of prints isn't huge, but I've seen ones that it's huge. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it blocks like people who are selling books with one table. Mm-hmm. And I do think those guys kind of go overboard sometimes. Not all of them.
I hate to play devil's advocate, but I will. You know, for me, I feel like I like them for 2 reasons, and I'll go back to it in a minute. But to your point, it's good to have them though, because when they have those big tables like that, a lot of times they make more money than we usually do. This is unfortunate, but it's the truth, because
right. I don't have a problem with
that everybody already knows. You know what I mean?
Y'all gonna have people thinking I don't like.
that's kind of one of the things.
That's not what I said. No,
I'm not. I'm just saying
because there's a lot of guys that I like who do it.
They always have those big tables like that because they're gonna make that money back quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. But then, you know, for me personally, I like them because when they charge a certain price for posters and things like that, I charge the same amount. And here's my thing. I don't even like doing prints. I don't like doing other people's stuff. A lot of people were telling me that I should bring that so I can have more people coming over to my table. And I'm like, no, I want you to come to my table. You're going to see only ACE stuff. That's it. You want to see somebody else's print, you want to see a Power Ranger or Superman, go to someone else. I can draw it for you, but I have no interest in doing that. You know what I mean?
Can I push back?
Yeah, you can do whatever.
So me, I do it, but I do it to pull people in.
Right, I see.
So like
which is probably a normal thing.
So like I got a T'Challa Black Panther print that I did with Chadwick Boseman's face.
Right.
And I get people, oh, that's so nice. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then they'll almost, I would say 75 to 80% of the time, the person who goes, oh, that's cool. Well, what do you got here?
Right, yeah.
And then I start talking about my book. And then eventually, and I would say 50% of the time, that person will buy a book and get that that print as well. To me, it's just supplemental income, right?
Yeah, it's nothing wrong.
You know what I mean? Like, but I get it. Like, there are a lot of people who I know, you know, that only put prints for their stuff and everything like that. And to those people, hey, knock yourselves out.
I mean, for me personally, I never really felt like, you know, I mean, there's always going to be times when you go to a convention and it gets a little dry, gets a little dead. That's normal. But for the most part, when people come and they see my table, or even if they don't, they always come by because it's something about it that stands out. You know what I mean? It's not a superhero story. It looks a little dark. They're like, hey, what's this? And then, you know, that always kind of gets them, you know, interested in what's going on. You know, I always try to make the table as appealing as possible, you know, so they can see it from far away when they hit a corner, when they, you know, whatever. So they're gonna see it and go, oh, what's over there? You know what I mean? And I, you know, being a people person, it always helps too. You know what I mean? I could talk about whatever, and if they dressed up in cosplay, yo, I like your outfit, yeah, yeah, but come see this. Oh, yeah, that's nice, and then that's how you get them. You know,
see, he get it. He get it.
There's always something.
I can't wait to see this dude. I love seeing people sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love seeing my fellow comic book, you know, creators sell, because, you know, everybody's got their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as you have your elevator pitch, you're always gonna sell something.
But see, you're good though, because you got you when you ask people, like when I'm pitching, I'm like, hey, you like superheroes? And if they say no, I gotta convince them to like superheroes.
Yeah, elevator pitch is not good.
No. That's not. That's not my.
Okay,
that's not my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, when I see somebody walking by, I'm like, do anybody read comics? And then they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, do you like superheroes? And they'll be like, no, not really. They'll be like, oh, well, you know, da-da-da-da. And so, like, after it becomes, I don't even get to the pitch. Usually I talk to people a little bit before I get to the pitch. Okay. And then I give them the pitch, because I want to find out what kind of stuff they like, because then I can tweak the pitch to fit whatever the thing they like.
I always just say, you like black characters?
I mean, that's
black characters. Yeah, I like black characters. Well, yeah, I got this story. It's about
that's a good one.
Natural story. You like horror? Yeah, I like horror. Like,
see, that's what I'm talking about.
And you dive into it. You know, you gotta. I try to make it as broad as possible.
That's what I'm talking about, though.
Make it as broad as possible, so they can't say no.
No, I understand.
Not in the equation.
But what I mean is, you got that lane where, like you said, you could say, do you like horror? Or if somebody says, I don't really do superheroes, then you like, well, this ain't really superheroes. This is like, and then you could start talking it, and you get like that audience. Like, I'm trying to reach that audience.
But your characters are black characters, are they not?
Yeah, but if they don't like superheroes,
they don't have to say. I didn't say nothing about superheroes.
No. What I'm saying is, no.
Characters.
No. I got you. I got that part. But if you're talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, I don't really do superheroes. But I'm saying for you and your characters,
that's a superhero.
Huh?
Don't mention that it's a superhero. Tell them the story.
That's kind of hard.
No, don't just.
I mean, you know, that's kind of hard when
tell them the story.
when he's rocking the spandex.
Right. So look, this is okay. I'm painting a picture for you, right?
All right.
So they come up to you, right, and you go, "Hey, you like black characters in comics? Yeah, you know, I like trying new things. Yeah, come check this out. Oh yeah, I'm not into superheroes. Yeah, all right, but listen to the story. Just about this. Let them get them enough to give them something, and then you show them a good page or print a page or whatever that you have that really is gonna make someone go, oh yeah, that's nice. I gotta have that, because it sets everybody else, because no one else is gonna have that. It's gonna be an action page, whatever. Then you can tell them if they want that it's a superhero story, but just let them figure it out for themselves. I won't tell them nothing. If I had a story that people didn't like werewolves, which has happened many a times, somebody come up to me and told me this is crazy. Me and my brother, we was at a convention, and someone came up to us, and I was like, hey, do you like comic books? And he was like, yeah, I like comics. And he was like, well, we have supernatural stories here. We have one about a werewolf, and we have one about a demon. So the girl was looking through the werewolf story. She picked up the werewolf story, and I was like, would you like to know the story about the demon story, Salvation? She was like, no, I don't do fantasy stories. Both stories are fantasy stories. But she said, I don't do fantasy stories. So I said, okay, that's no problem. Let me tell you about the story, though. And she was like, okay. So I told her about the story. She was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like kind of like a redemption story. Exactly. Boom, boom, boom. And she left with 2 comics.
That's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jamari knows I can sell. Jamari knows I can get people who don't like who claim they don't like super. Right. Usually my pitch is and if you bought a book from me, you've heard this pitch. And if you sat next to me, you've heard this pitch. I usually say, you know, this is a story of a guy who gets superpowers, wants to be a big time superhero, but his powers want him to burn the world to the ground. And usually when I say that, either I get a laugh, like a that's clever, or a that's a good hook, like I want to get it, and then they want to listen. Like then I'll reel them in, and then I start doing da 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 da. But that's a good. I'm gonna try that. Do you like black characters? I'm gonna try that. Yeah. Do you do that? Do you do that with white people?
I do it with everybody.
Okay, I just was curious.
You know what I mean? Like,
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask both of you this question then. Let me ask you this, because kind of turning it towards a different part of the subject. Since there are more events now, do you feel that some of these events are either a little too esoteric and they're too kind of zeroed in on one thing? Because, for example, I read about a small anime event that was in Iowa or something, and they put out a ruling that nobody can come in with cosplay or things of that nature that aren't directly anime related. And they just locked off everybody.
Right.
And now we've got actual conventions that cater to Black and people of color now. Mm-hmm. So we've got those wonderful things. But do you think do you think that a lot of conventions are getting either too broad or too focused? Because I think there's an argument for both ways.
I mean, I don't think there's a problem for either or, honestly. I mean, I think because there's so many different type of conventions, if there's one that's only Black centric, then that ain't for you. You go to the next one. You know what I mean? So I don't really think of it as a bad thing at all. You know what I'm saying? I think when it comes to cosplay thing, I think it kind of limits you. But again, if they limit it, just don't go. You know what I mean? You know that they're not going to.
Well, is there
it's not a problem.
Does that go into the decision for you when you're picking an event to go to, like, oh, this may not be comic centric enough or something like that? Because you guys are both selling a comic. You're creating content. You're not, as you said, for the most part. I know Javon does prints, but he's not doing. He isn't sitting there like all prints all the time. His main focus is selling heat, selling strong, and you're selling your stuff exclusively.
Right.
Does that go into your process when you're looking at these places to go to?
Not really.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can go into if I've been to an anime con, where it's just anime really is the main focus, but I'm still
really love that picture, by the way.
Thank you. My new colorist is me and him. We're just really kicking it. We're gonna really. I'm excited about the future with me and him. We're doing really good work. But yeah, I've gone to Anime Con and sold comics, and people at times they go, but it's not an anime. I'm going, yeah, but comics is another form of entertainment.
Yeah, you're about to go into the next part of the thing I'm gonna talk about. Go ahead.
So I'll say for me.
And I tell them to just look at the pages. If you don't like it, then you can continue going about your business.
I'll say for me, I'll sell the book wherever they let me sell it.
Right.
I have sold at a wreath making event. By the way, and killed.
Yeah, because at the other side to that is that you'll stand out even more because of the opposite. You know what I mean? They'll look at that and go, "Oh shoot." You know what I mean? This is the.
Would you like to know what? All right. So here's the deal. The stuff, my desk is to my right. Okay. My desk has my water, my phone. My desk is to my right. So I don't know why you guys are so focused, but everything is to my right. Your left, my right. Okay. Mystery solved. You guys happy? That must be that's Kevin. That's Kevin Chapman. But yeah, like I will sell anyway. I haven't done anime events, but I will say this though. I did a show. What show was it? I think it was Northeast Comic Con and Collectibles, where there was a young lady there who sold like candles, and she was like, "I'm doing the anime show." She's a young Asian woman, and she's like, "You should do it." And I'm like, "Well, my stuff isn't anime." And she's like, "Don't worry about it. Like, just go and do it." So maybe next year, because I know I wanted to do MomoCon, and it's just wrong date. Yeah. But I think next year, like I'll do Anime Boston. I'll try these other cons and give it a shot.
Yeah, someone was just talking about that. I think it was Quentin.
Yeah, I think the thing well, again, for small fish, what you have to weigh is, do you think you'll make your table back? And if you're traveling, will you make your travel?
Your expenses,
your travel expenses. So that's generally how I determine which cons I'll do. So like Brooklyn, I can make my money back. I ain't worried about that at all. Terrificon, I'll make my money back. Fan Expo Boston, I'll make my money at. Heroes Con, I'm not paying. I got invited, thank goodness, so I don't have to pay for my table. So all I'm paying back is travel. I'm not afraid. I can sell anywhere, but like if I feel like the event, even if the event is too, I've done small events. The anime thing I've kind of just shied away from, only because it feels like that culture doesn't want anything to do with American comics. Like it feels like, I'm not saying it is, but it's like when you're at a con, and I'm sure Dwayne, you've experienced this, and we've both probably broken through that wall. But you'll meet somebody and you'll say, they'll be like, oh, I read manga, I only read manga. And you got to sell a little harder if you want to get to them, or sometimes they'll just walk off. You know what I'm saying? So like it feels like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. And so I have to weigh, do I want to go to a convention full of people who might feel, well, who 60% of them will feel the same way, and I'm just sitting there twiddling my damn thumbs? Or do I want to focus on cons where I know I will make money? Because there's so many of them. There's so many cons that even if you decide to not do, like we're not doing the one in Harlem, but I'm doing one on Saturday. There's one that Saturday, and I'm pretty sure there's another one somewhere else. So there's one like every weekend. So
that goes to what Jamari was saying earlier about having certain cons for certain type of people. You could always just place that one to go to another one, or to go to both if you want. Like it really just depends on the person. You know what I'm saying? But when it came to the anime convention that I went to, I didn't really have any problem. It seemed like people liked this stuff. I think people kind of really was digging Salvation a little bit more. But I think it was really only because we had more issues of Salvation than we had of Nightfall at the time. But I feel also, though, at Salvation, the art style that my brother kind of really wanted to go with was more of an anime style anyway. So I guess when people looked at the pages, maybe they could relate to it a little bit more. I don't know. But yeah, I had a good time. I mean, if the opportunity was there and I couldn't see any other conventions and I'm trying to get back into the conventions, or I just want to go to one, whatever, I would probably go back. I was actually thinking about going to Anime NYC, the one that's in JVC.
When is that?
I think
did it happen already?
No. It's after NYCC.
New York Con. Yeah, I applied to New York Comic Con. I don't know.
Yeah,
I ain't heard nothing.
I went last year. It was
You had a table?
Yeah, I had a table. I was one of the upstairs. I wasn't at Artist Alley.
Okay. Yeah, I applied. I'm hoping. We'll see.
I think next year this year I'm gonna try to see if I can get into Artist Alley instead and see if there's any difference.
You better be doing. You better put that application through.
Oh no, I already did. They already know me.
That's good
because I haven't really been like looking at too many conventions because I've been focusing on doing my next comic, which is Brook City, and the animation I'm working on. But that one is something that I always try to get to because that's such a big one. You know what I mean? It's like almost like doing two cons instead of just one, because there's so many people coming from all over to go see that stuff. But at the same time, I think that's one of the things that kind of kills the people from coming to see you, because there are so many different people that aren't really comic book fans. They'll go there just to see the video games or see the movies or the anime that come out. So a lot of times people might just bypass your table because of that, because they're not fans of comics, even though it's in the goddamn name. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that like then you have to completely. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no. now you're getting into the kind of the core reason why I was asking this question, because you do have people that these events I think have become multifaceted now.
Right.
They're not just strictly one. You do have events that definitely are focused as i.e. the blurred con style stuff, and if it's specifically in the name or something and it tells you in that name this is anime centric. But like here we got Dragon Con, and Dragon Con is like catch all. It's kind of our Comic Con, even though we got an Atlanta Comic Con kind of thing, but it's in a sense of go there and you're going to see anime people, you're going to see video game people, you're going to see everything. You got people there. They sell so much stuff for Dungeons and Dragons up in there. It's ridiculous. But I'll see the same stuff in the same booths in MomoCon, which is an anime event a couple months earlier. So
yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to all of the conventions, though, they all like that, though. I think because that as a business, not for our business, but the convention business, that's what you want. You want everybody to come there. You don't want to kind of really limit yourself, because I think if you limit yourself, then the people that are only there for that one interest are not going to go. But at the same time, it might have more people on our side to go. We go to those like Black Comic Cons or things like that, because they know what to look for. But I feel like when it comes, I think everything is really separate when it comes to the Black conventions towards anything else, really, because there's a lot of Black people out there that aren't really familiar or don't know how to access indie comics or any type of indie work that is being done by Black people. So when they go to these conventions, they come looking to see stuff. They're not just looking there. They go, I just want to check stuff out, and I'm gonna buy a ticket and I'm gonna leave. I'm sure there's some people like that, but the majority of the people are going to be there to really support. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone just came up to me and just go, I don't even know what you got, but I want it all. You're a Black trader. I want to support you. And I'm like, okay.
I love them. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite customers, man. I ain't got to say a word, dude.
So, I mean, I like it for the the profit of it, but I prefer the person to want to actually be invested in what I have.
Well, usually they'll be like, I'm gonna buy whatever it is, but tell me what it's about. I'm gonna get it. Don't worry about it.
50-50, I get 50-50, but me personally, because it's like one thing when you have a story, right? And you kind of believe that this story is something different. You're doing something out of the box. So you want someone to tell you like, hey, I read your story and I think it was good, or I thought it was bad. Just some type of feedback. Reply or feedback to it would help. You know what I mean? Because that way that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. This story is worth a damn. And because for me, I get that a lot. A lot of people they buy the comic, they'll go, man, I love the artwork. Oh man, the story sounds cool. And I go, okay, yeah, my stuff is on the back. Please let us know what the story is about. And sometimes people do it, and then sometimes they don't. But then it's the ones that sometimes that are so excited, you're like, man, I wonder what they're gonna think of the story. But I gotta learn. I have learned to not really like focus on it too much. You know what I mean? Because it just people do what they do. You know what I'm saying? You can't just put everything in one person's personality or one person that's just coming in with high interest on your stuff and don't tell you anything. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I would say if you're a creator and you're doing cons, don't worry about anything else but selling. Like the questions you're asking are very, very good, Jamari, but I don't give a darn what con I'm at. I don't care.
When you're audience, this I already know with you. I know this.
I don't care, dude. Like I stand like Jamari knows this, and long-time listeners know I stand all day. The entire time I'm standing for the most part. Now I might sit down when it gets lean and nobody's walking down whatever path I'm in. I'll sit down for a little bit, but I'm standing right back up because in my mind I need to be eye level with everybody who walks.
Go to the bathroom.
Nah, I don't. Because in my mind, if I leave the table, I miss the sale. That's how I feel.
Like I had to memorize his thing when I was helping him because I didn't want him freaking out. Like,
I wouldn't freak out, but I just be like, because in my mind, if I'm not at my table, I miss the sale.
Right.
So like I don't really eat. Like I might bring like a little snack, like you know what I'm saying, like just a little something. I'm not gonna have like a meal. Like I see people like eating full like meals, and I'm like, nah, bro. I got one focus today. My one focus is to
I
sell.
think
Huh?
I think when we were at Dragon Con, your wife brought you some food, and you was real quick about. You was just
Oh
like,
yeah, I inhaled it.
It was
I
like a
inhaled
troll
it.
in the corner for a second,
Because
and then he was right back to
right
it.
because it's like I'm there. I got a job to do while I'm there. You know what I mean? And like people who go to cons, it's like a real interesting herd mentality, right? It's like if you're not looking at them, they might not even look at your table. If you look busy, they probably might not even come by your table. Like if you look distracted you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm having if Dwayne, if you came to my table and you were like, hey, what's up, blah 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 blah, and we're having a conversation, somebody might walk by, look and see and be like, that looks cool. But because I'm talking to you,
Right.
they might keep walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm always like, okay, so if I was talking to you and somebody walks by, I'm like, hey, you don't have to crane your neck. Come on, man, come on by. Like I'm
Right.
always
Yeah.
right. Like I'm always selling at all times. The only time I'm not selling is if I'm walking, if I'm like I know at Baltimore Comic-Con, there was a point where I was like, I just gotta get from behind the table and just walk around a bit. And so I want to walk around and say hi to people and kind of network real quick. And then I would get back to my table. But it's only if it like dies down. But if it's like the middle of it, dude, I'm moving, man. And I know a lot of people aren't like that.
When I went to New York Comic Con, I was like, man, I want to get up and I want to go. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna sit. I mean, I was looking up to have my girlfriend at the time, so she was able to get me food and whatnot. But there was a lot of times like, man, I want to just get up and just look around and see. But at the same time, right when I feel like that, someone will come to me.
Somebody come right up.
I mean, buy a comic, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. Let's go. Let's go.
Yep. You energized. You ready?
I'm all right.
Yeah. Oh, so usually what I do is I get there early.
Yeah.
So I come in early and then I walk around before people come in. And I do my talking then, or they do BarCon now where everybody is at the same spot and you go talk to all the creators in a particular spot. That's usually at like the bigger cons.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, my job is when I'm at a con, I'm working. Like it's not. I mean, it's fun in the sense that it's fun, but like I'm on the clock.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I very rarely am I on my phone.
Oh no!
Like I'm rarely on my phone.
Yeah, like that's something I noticed.
You should never be on your phone. The only reason why
I see it so much.
If you're accessing your Zelle or something like that. But you should never be on your phone because that'll automatically
be on them hard.
Oh, so immediately. I don't even draw.
Right at their
I don't draw.
I don't even draw. I don't even like. Sometimes I don't even tell people that I'm the artist because I know sometimes they're like, "Oh, could you draw me something?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can't."
Yeah, every now and again,
they will want me to draw like a werewolf on the cover instead of me signing a signature. Can you just draw a werewolf drawing? No.
I've never been asked that. Usually, like they just want the signature. But what I do now is I pre-sign it.
Right, yeah.
I pre-sign on my book. So literally, like they're like, "Can I get a signature?" I'm like, "It's already there." I'm trying to maximize my time, dude. Like,
I mean, I like sometimes, it depends on what the person is buying. I would put their name in it just to give them that extra, feel moment. You know what I mean? So I don't try to do it too much because I make it feel authentic, like I was actually. So I might put it down. And then, give it to them like, hey, I just signed it. There you go.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, I try to just sign it there just to make it feel extra special.
And then I feel so bad, and this is I don't know if it's just me who does this, but if I know somebody's not buying, like they just like, because I have my my artwork there, my pages, like I have the original pages, and so like people like to flip through it.
Yeah.
And so like you generally tell, like if you come up to my table and you're talking to me, and I can get a gauge like, okay, this person's not buying. This person just wants to talk, or they just want to look through the book. I kind of disengage from them.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all right, well, if you need anything, just let me know. And then they start flipping through pages. I'm like, if you got any questions, just let me know. And I'm like, I just leave them be.
Yeah.
And I just, and I'm back to looking, but sometimes they'll ask questions and then they'll be like, okay, well, yeah, I want to get da. But 9 times out of 10, like I told people, I've said it on the show last week, I had a dude explain racism to me. White dude, he explained racism to me.
Oh man, yeah.
Like, he just wanted to
I've
talk.
people like that, just want to talk to you and ask you about your artwork and did you go to school for it? And I tell them no, and then they go how, and I got to tell them like there's a whole story behind it, and I just go, I'm just self-taught, man. But a lot of times you just never know. I think what you do is good. You continue to ask questions, and that's all you can really do. Because I've had it many times where I'm thinking, or me and my brother are there on the table, and this guy or girl is flipping through everything, and we're just like, so what do you think? Like, oh, we'll come back, and she ain't coming back, and then she does, and you're like, oh,
yeah, right.
Hey, I didn't even, all right, hey, so you just don't know. And I always say, when you're dealing with people, that's the answer for everything. You don't know. Same thing.
Nah, you don't, man.
You don't. I can promote it. People like the stuff that I'm putting out, things of this nature. But when it comes to getting backers, that's a whole new thing, So if I can get that down packed, I'll be all right.
That's hard, man. I still haven't quite figured out this whole Kickstarter thing. I mean, it's a difficult thing.
For me, I just can't get around the part with like you see the person that's promoting it as a Kickstarter, and but they're showing a page or whatever, and you're getting so many likes. Why not just go to the Kickstarter, pledge of $5? I try to make it as easy as possible with this one. I really wanted to have it where you could even make your own little reward tier. You know what I'm saying? So you can start out with having like a catch up. Maybe you're not familiar with the Nightfall series. So you can have the catch-up pages, and then you can have maybe a T-shirt. But then I also have the all-over prints. So then you can add the all-over prints, or maybe you want a hat, or maybe you want a variant cover like you see there. All of these things you can get with all of the reward tiers and just mix and match it, so you can leave it there actually feeling like you got almost everything you wanted, or if everything you wanted. So that's super important to me was that, because I wanted people, because when I did the last one, people were like, oh, could you add this? Or could I have this? And I'm like, bro, it's just pick and match, So
right there.
I don't want to give people sending messages, so I just have it. It's in your hands. You can do whatever. Just mix and match how you want, and all of the options are there. But I'm hoping that, like I said, we can get to our stretch goals, because one of the stretch goals is the holographic covers for Nightfall issue 1. There you see the original. This is the holographic one. So I'm hoping that we can get to that stretch goal. We also have a wraparound cover for issue 3. We also have holographic stickers, pins, a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't even get into. I already told you about the animated short that I have. That's going to be like the last stretch goal. So we'll see, but it's a hard thing to tackle, especially when you're more of a newer kind of company, and people don't really know who you are. So you get the ones that everybody that your fans and whatnot. But when you're trying to reach more people, that's where the trick comes in. So
go to the link if you're watching. Go to the link. Hurry up.
Yeah.
The people I love, and I love them. I love you all. I love the people who be like, yo, I get paid this week, so I'm gonna get you this week. All right, I'm gonna get you this week. And I'll be like, dude, it don't take the money out right now, man.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be like 28 days in the Kickstarter, and I'll be like, dude, listen to me. Just whatever you think you could do, just do it right now. They'll be like, nah, I don't get paid. I'll be like, dude,
just donate $1 and then add it.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm gonna do from now on.
Right. It's like, hey man, just put $1.
Just put $1 in, and then if you want to do more, you can raise it up.
Because that every little bit helps. It really does, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
5 people donate $1. That's $5 you got. You know what I mean? I'd rather have like a slow process going than nothing at all, where I just
Yeah.
put my whole thing in just the same amount. And it's like, like that's one of my sayings. My saying is slow motion is better than no motion at all. So I love having to see, oh, it's only $1. Cool, bet. That's changes from what I had like 2 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I prefer that than nothing at all, but it is a grind and we have a lot of days left. But, like I said, I'm really trying to hope that we can hit these stretch goals because we have a lot of good things coming and I'm excited to show everybody.
Okay. So I have a question that is, so there are a couple questions I want to ask. I want to talk about the industry. There's two things. One of the big conversations we're having now is anime and its popularity and its effect on Western comics. Like, where do you fall in line? Like, are you bothered by it? Are you worried? Like, what do you feel about that?
I mean, it kind of goes with what we were talking about before when you're having these people there that are, dressed up and they're more interested in just that one particular thing. So those people, when they come, they're only interested in that one particular thing. So yeah, it does cause a little bit of less sales, or it is a little bit of a problem because those people are more willing to spend however just so they could look around and do whatever, whether it be, like you said, the anime stuff or video games. Because when I went to the Brooklyn Con, it was like that. I was like not too far from the video game section. So when people would hit a corner, they would go to the video games and then they would, kind of glance at our stuff, but because it's so loud, you can't even really like talk to people or pitch your stuff. I had to go back a few times to tell them, yo, y'all got to turn that off or turn it down because I'm not about to just sit here and y'all playing these video games. It's so super loud. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be that person, you know what I mean? But I'm selling, this is my company here. It's not a game. So, these things are, so I think it is a problem. I do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's a problem. I don't think it affects me. I know I'm alone in his.
I think you'll see it a lot more. I think the more conventions you go to, you'll probably see it a lot more.
Oh, no. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
I just don't think it doesn't bother me. Like, there's no.
You know why I think it's a problem? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The reason why I think it's a problem is because I look at how conventions were before and I see how they're going now. It's a huge difference. Like, I'll give you an example. We're talking about Brooklyn Con, right? So Brooklyn Con used to be in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, right? And then before that it was somewhere else. But there were more people there geared to just see what you had. Comics, they were comic book fans, or they were, things that they were interested in related to your stuff. So you would go there and you would make a good amount for your table, or just a good amount. Now, when you go, you're unsure about the sales because everybody is not really particular there for seeing comics. They're there to see video games. They're there to see anime stuff. And those things, most of the time, they're not even having to spend money. So they're paying for their ticket and then they're just paying for their ticket. They're not paying for their ticket and going to see comics or buying prints or anything like that. So, it messes up the sales a little bit. So for me, that's why I kind of say that it is a little bit of a problem because I've seen the difference.
So that's a different conversation.
You think so?
That's a conversation more in the diversity of the diversity that's happening in Comic Cons. That's what Jamari was talking about before. I'm more talking about how the impact on how anime affects the readership with Western comics. Like, we're seeing a lot more people under the age of 25 who don't want anything to do
at least 30.
At least 30. We'll say 30. That don't want anything to do a lot with Western books, and it's all about anime. They're all about anime. Like, does that bother you?
Well, when you put it in that way, I haven't really experienced that. I haven't really seen someone that just said I'm only here just for anime or anything like that. I really haven't really experienced that. No, I haven't.
I hear that all the time.
I mean, I hear people that say they're anime fans, but I've never seen someone like not look at my stuff or look at someone next to me and walk away with anything. You know
Let me
what I mean?
give you an
So
example.
you've never asked somebody, you never, and they be like, yeah, I like anime. I'm not.
No, that's never usually the reason. The only one that I could really say is that they'll say, "Oh, I'm not into comics,"
Okay.
but they won't say like, "Oh, I'm only into anime." You know what I mean? I never heard anyone say that. Maybe comics, but even if they say that, I'll still try to say something to help help the sale. But yeah, I've never heard anybody say that. Use that as a way to walk away.
Well, I don't know if they're using it as a way to walk away. I think that there are people who are here, they're at cons for anime stuff, and like I've seen them go to people who have a more anime style, who do the anime stuff, and they'll love them, or mostly a lot of them are prints.
Yeah,
Like they love to get the
yeah,
anime
for
style
sure.
prints, and that's what they're here
Or the
for.
pins, the little pins that
The
people
pins and whatnot and wherefore, like that's what they're here for. They're not really here for comics, and
Yeah.
and most of the time, the comics that are the indie people are doing either superheroes or fantasy. It's usually one.
Yeah, I think, but I think it is really all of it. Whether they're fans of just anime or they're video game people, they go in there and they're not really looking at our stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I like I said. Go ahead, Jamar.
Let me give you an example. I teach. I have a classroom. I have two bookshelves in my room, and there's two shelves towards the bottom. One side I keep manga. The other side I keep trade comics. So I've got a little bit of everything. I've got DC. I got Marvel. I've got all of that. I've got a couple of things that are outside the mix. And then on the other side, I've got some traditional manga for that stuff. My students, by and large, when I see who interacts with the books that are there, it's the manga that gets the most attention out of these books. I'm teaching teenagers, so I've been doing this for a while now, and so I've dealt with people up to, now I've got kids that are hitting their 20s that I used to teach, and I'm dealing with these kids at this point, and some of them never touch the trades. I'll have some they'll flip through for a second and they'll put it back, but they'll go back to the manga. And unless certain kids come and
do you think it's the stories that's not enticing them, or you think
I think it's generational. I think it's because the kids that we're dealing with now, they've grown up with anime and manga in their mainstream, in their peripheral, because these are the kids. You got to remember, Pokemon was a big deal at one point when, maybe when we were, I'm going to say most of us are somewhat around a certain age. So probably when we were in our 20s, Pokemon was a thing. And it's continued to be a thing. And as we've expanded out, and there's Naruto was big when it was its big thing, and it's even now it's shifted into another storyline. All of these different shows that have been on Toonami was a big deal with Cartoon Network. Go down the line.
Yeah.
These kids have with anime and anime inspired stuff. So I feel that even though comics are a thing, and even though they have also grown up with the shadow of the MCU, to them, superheroes are MCU. It's movies. But books and things that they're going to deal with, anime, manga, those things, and because of the way that the system works for anime, most anime are born out of manga stories.
Yeah.
And if you've read the manga, those mangas have been there for you all this time. And then when you finally see it animated, I think it's just the difference in how these things have come in that we're now dealing with. I think it's become a little generational. And when me and Javon have talked about this before, where I think that it is having an impact in terms of you don't see as many people reading comics. They
Right.
know of comics, they know about comics, but to get them to pick up a floppy comic book or get them to pick a trade up, I think is a little different. Which is so I'm just my this is just one observation, but we've had some conversations like this on the show before, and that I think is kind of where the consideration of how is that affecting the industry as a whole, and I'm just talking about strictly comic books as opposed to manga, which is they have a different system for everything over there versus what we're doing over here. Like now, I
Right.
think the rise of indie comics has become a bigger facet of comics than just our traditional big two companies and everything. I think you guys are more backbone of the comic industry at this point because there are more people like you guys who are finding success building your comic worlds and your universes versus what DC and Marvel do, because now it's just now I wouldn't even hesitate to say that those comic books now mostly exist to fuel the media machine that they've created with the MCU and what DC's doing.
Yeah. hmm
Well, I mean,
I
I would
think
say this. Oh, go ahead, Dwayne.
I was gonna say I think the reason why we're kind of like the next one up is because there's so much variety. You know what I mean? New stuff. People want to see new stuff, whether it be
Yeah,
superheroes, but it's a new type of story told. No, we can only get Batman so many times. Spider-Man doing a different thing. You know what I mean? People want to get something new. They want something a new flavor, and that's what we're bringing to them in different varieties. It could be superheroes, it could be mysteries, horror. I've seen all different types, and I'm like, wow, that's a step ahead to bring out more different things. And I think people are gonna start to really, if we can find like a way where we could just have like a convention where it's just indie creators, that would be great.
Actually, just saw one, by the way.
Yeah,
Brooklyn Independent Comic Showcase.
yeah, I yeah, that one is kind of small, and it's outside.
If
But yeah,
you're
you
gonna get
gotta start
small though,
somewhere. You gotta start somewhere.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're gonna get small. But I would say this though, when it comes to indie being able to indie comics should be able to capitalize on this. And then I'm gonna give Danny quick credit. Um, and he'll never let me hear the end of it. But he made a good point about the accessibility of manga, in that if you want to read My Hero Academia, all the books are right there. By what the hell is that outside your window? Oh
That's fine.
my God, what you
Okay.
is it F-Zero going outside? I just dated myself with that.
You did, but it's cool.
I
I
did.
knew exactly what you were talking
Why he
about too.
mad?
Both knew what it was, so right there.
Shut up, Kevin. Kevin, I told you my water is over here. I think there's the fact that you can get all of the My Hero Academia and whatever in one sitting, and it's the story from start to finish is valuable, right? Like, it is valuable that there are a lot of people who don't want to do something unless they can start with the first book. And you know what I mean? Like, unless they can start with the first book.
Yeah.
And that's why, Kevin, you had your day, man. Listen, I'm going to block you. Kevin Chapman, I'm going to block Kevin Chapman. You're going to be the first person to get blocked on Restream. But I think that's what indie comics has that Marvel and DC don't have. Like, most indie comics are done by the same creative person, the same creative team. I mean, sometimes there might be a shift in the artist, but for the most part, it's the same writer, the same artist telling the story. You can get it from the first issue. Like, a lot of people who come in, they'll get mine because I have a trade, and then the 2 issue, they can get the whole Heat story right now. Boom. Like, they can get all of Nightfall to this point, Salvation to this point, and feel like they have the full story without the obligation to get anything else. And I think that's where there's value there. And there's value. There's value to us being able to do that. So there's one thing. And then two, indie comics have the freedom to do whatever the hell we want to do with our stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
important thing, really.
Right, but it's a freedom that doesn't really exist at Marvel.
Right.
Because if you kill Peter Parker, everyone knows at some point Peter Parker's coming back.
Yep.
Correct.
If I decide to kill Cameron Clark, my hero, he's gone. If I decide to kill him and he's gone, he's gone. And I can just do with everything else. So there's a level of permanence and stakes that don't exist in Marvel books. Not to say that Marvel and DC and those books aren't good, because I still love Marvel. I still love DC. But I can understand how that generation, because really it's not even the younger generation when you think about it. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've sold a lot of books to kids, like to small kids. Like I've sold a lot of books to kids. It's like, I would say 10 to, like you said, maybe 25, 30. That middle generation, like you said, that grew up with Toonami and the rise of prominence of anime, they are, that's that generation. They like you said, they grew up with MCU. But I do think there is room for that generation to fall in love with indie comics. You just have to get them.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I had a young, like I told you, I had a young couple come up to me dressed in some anime thing. I have no idea what it was. I don't know anime. I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
And so they were like, oh, so tell me about your book. And they were like, is it, they asked me, is it anime? Because I have a relatively cartoony smile. It's not smile, style, excuse me.
Oh.
Smile too, maybe. But they, once like you said, once you give them the pitch, if your pitch is good, a lot of times they'll try it. They might not buy every book you got.
They'll buy an issue.
But they'll buy one issue. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the same people will come back and be like, I really liked it. I want to know what happens next.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens too, if it's like earlier in the convention, someone will try and check it out, and then they'll come back like the next day. Man, I read it. It was really good. Let me get issue 2. Let me get a poster.
Right.
So those are the ones that you really, have good feelings about. But when it comes to, like you said, the anime crowd, I don't know. Because I guess I don't really pay them any mind. So if you come through and, they're only looking for anime stuff, they either just they don't even approach my table. So it's like, cool, I'm not focused on you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I've never had anybody come up to me and just say, nah, I'm an anime fan. I don't like this stuff.
I usually get the but you can tell. You could do they'll be like, hey, do you like comics? And they'll be like, no. And they just keep walking.
Right.
Like, they cut the eye contact.
They don't even acknowledge you.
Right. They cut that eye contact quick. Yeah. I look for the people who look twice.
But the ones I don't like are the ones that, like, they'll look at your stuff and they're like, yeah, I'll come back. And then you'll see them do a lap, and then they'll kind of like try to avoid you. They'll look up and over here. And he's like, yo, bro, I see you, bro. Like,
I don't mind that, but you know what I did? It doesn't bother me, because I've had enough people, like you said, they'll be like, I'm gonna come back. They'll be like, oh, okay. And then I've had people literally come back and go, Marvel ain't never gonna love Storm. You're right. There is value, but no, he's right. There's value in, like, people saying, I'm gonna support this because I'm supporting you directly, as opposed to, Black Panther has a new book out. If I go buy Black Panther, I'm not supporting the creators of Black Panther. I'm supporting the big Marvel machine. Mm-hmm. And I've had a lot of people say that, but as going back to, I've had a lot of people who will say, maybe I'll come back. And like I had one lady at this other con. I swore I was never gonna see this woman again. She was just like, I don't know, maybe I'll come back.
Right. Yeah.
And I would say maybe like 3-4 hours later, she popped right back up. She's like, it was on my mind. I had to come back.
Yeah.
You know, so like
that same kind of thing happened at Dragon Con for you.
Oh, it happened a lot at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
It happened. I just told this story. I'll tell it again. I had a mother and a daughter, and they came by my table, and I'm like, you know, hey, do you like comics? No, not really. You know, we just got here, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, you know what? If enjoy the con, come back and let me know if you enjoyed it. Tell me if you had a good time. And at the end of the con, this lady and her daughter came back and said, yeah, we had, you know, you told us to come back, and we're coming back, and they told me, and and so they're like, well, tell me about your stuff. And then I told them, and they were telling me about how her husband likes comics and he likes to try new things, and she bought like 2-3 books.
Yeah.
Just off the strength that, I mean, and if I never said anything or told this woman to come back, she probably would have never came back again.
Right.
So I don't mind the people who say I might come back, like, because there's always
I'm saying like to get angry and anything. I just think I just get a kick out of it sometimes. So
I get a kick. I told you
to avoid you though. That's what
I get the kick out of the people who break eye contact real quick and never look back. They be like, no. And
yeah,
just like
those are the ones that are funny too.
Dude, I be laughing in my head so hard, like it's not that serious, man.
Yeah, I messed with this one guy, right? Because he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come." He had like he was dressed up as Red Hood, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come back, man. I'm gonna buy a comic." And I was like, "Cool, no problem." And so he did a lap once. He did another lap. I was like, "Yo, Tay, I'm gonna walk in front of him and see." So I was walking in front of him. He was. And I would try to get in front of his eyesight. He's looking the other way. And he's like, oh, hey, guys, over here. And he ran away. I was like, yo, that's putting too much effort into it, man. Like, why lie, though?
I had this young girl. There was this young lady who said that. She's like, I'm going to come back. And I was like, okay, cool. And she did a lap. I think this was at Baltimore. And she did a lap around. And she looked me in the eye and she smiled. I was like, hey. And she did maybe like 4 laps. And by the 4th lap, I was like, this is the 4th time I've seen you. You gotta buy a book now. She said, okay. And she bought 1 book.
That works, hey.
She bought 1. I was like, you ain't gonna walk by my table 4 times and look me in the eye. I mean, there's a ton of great stories, man.
This is part of the wonder of going to a convention, you know what I mean? You see all different types of craziness going on. So.
Oh man. Go ahead, Jamari, before I ask my next question.
I hesitate. I ask these questions, and I want to know about this stuff because I don't like this idea that some people feel like it's a comics versus manga or anime thing. Because I'm somebody grew up on comics, loved all of that, all of those kinds of things, but I also love anime. I also love a lot of this other stuff. I play Dungeons and Dragons and all of this other stuff too. And it's like, there's enough for everybody. Right. So I don't,
but it's
and I hope that
it's fandom though. It's always going to be some people who want to put everything against everything.
Well,
like I'm not going to
go ahead.
I'm not going to say who, but there was a comic book creator, fairly prominent indie one. No names, but he was like, "Well, you know, these manga people are what did he say? Like stealing our jobs or stealing our readers and everything like that. These invaders. That's what he called them. He called them foreign invaders. He said, I was just like, I think I know who that is. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out, but he called them foreign invaders, and I sat there looking at that comment, and I said, "This ain't that serious, y'all."
No, because these are the same people that are gonna buy your stuff. As more than likely.
But I do think people grow out of it.
Like me and Jay Barnes kept saying is that if they don't.
That's fine. Yes.
Not everybody gonna buy your book.
Sweat. Like, what is the point of sweating something I can't control? That's out of my hands. If they don't like my stuff, I'm not gonna try to force it down their throat. The next person will buy my stuff, and I'm gonna cater to them. That's all it is.
You are
I
absolutely.
tell you who does
right.
frustrate me. I'm gonna tell you who frustrate me. If I see black people who don't even come ask me about it. If I'm the only black dude at the event with a book, if I'm the only black dude, not if there's like 4 or 5 of us and there's a lot of us,
Right?
but if I'm the only black dude there with a book and you don't come by at least to say hi, like you ain't even got to buy the book, but what's up, brother?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like something, but at least listen to the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bothers me. I have been at events where I was the only black indie guy there,
Right.
not professional. I've been, like I did an event with Keith, and Keith was there, but he's a professional. But I believe I was the only black indie guy there, and so like if you are, because I just feel like we all in this together, and they ain't a lot of us, so at least come by and just hear what I have to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't even got to buy. If you don't want to buy it, that's fine. But at least listen. But that bothers me. I told this story too. I had a whole family. They was all dressed up like X-Men, and they wouldn't even come close to the table. I was just like, "Hey, y'all look great. Can I get a picture?" And they took a picture. I was like, "Yeah, come on over. Look at my man." The husband looked at the wife. The wife looked at the husband, and they just kept walking. And I was like, y'all ain't even gonna come by?
Yeah, that's happened to me too. And I was like, man, they was really gonna walk by.
Right. It's like that's like another black dude that give you the head nod. Like,
right. That's
like I feel like
from Brooklyn, that's all I need, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you at least gotta give me the nod, but But I like you said, like everybody's not gonna want to buy your book.
Right. You laugh it off and you move to the next person, you know what I'm saying? That's the best thing you can do.
I saw this dude. I'm gonna ask the next question, but I saw this guy. I think he had like one comic, but he was ultra aggressive. And like, I guess there was a period where people weren't buying his books. This was at a con. And he was like he was getting like angry. Like, is nobody going to buy anything? Like he was loud. And I was just sitting there like, dude, you're scaring the hell out of me. Like, I can't imagine what you're doing to potential customers.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had that happen a few times where people they just, they take it to another level where they get angry, you know what I'm saying? But I tell them like, look, man, I understand you getting angry, but you bring the wrong type of attention over to me too. So you need to cool out, go over there, do something, but you need to chill out because you're messing it up for me and I can't have that.
Oh no, he was like 2 booths behind me.
No, I had one guy, he was like on my left side, and I had another guy who was like across the way. So I tell him, hey, look, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you had to have the talk.
Hey, man, like, you gotta chill out, bro. You're a little too hot. But then I see those that just give up. You know what I mean? I seen one time the first time I went to New York Comic Con, I shared a table with someone, and the guy went to sleep. He went to sleep, and I was looking at him. I was like, "You pay all this money just to sleep?"
Never.
New York Comic Con, and this is when New York, where people were buying like in drones.
Yeah.
So he was asleep, and I was selling. So I was like, I don't care, but sleep away. But I was just like, that's wild to me. Like, you're gonna pay all that, even if it's not New York Comic Con. If it's just a regular convention in general, why pay all the money just to go to sleep? Or be on your phone, or drawing and not interacting with people and wondering why you're not. Like, come on, man.
I get some people, like I know, oh man, I forgot his name, but I know some people will draw, and like them drawing is the draw. Like people come sometimes over and they want them to say.
I don't think like
it don't work like that for me.
Make a choice. Nah, you're gonna get my under.
Yeah, you're gonna get me. Like I said, I'm standing up. And I'm looking. If you see me this weekend, this one might be different because I believe it's a smaller room. Like I've done it before. Like it's a real small room, and there's only a few of us. So like it's almost like everybody. It's like one room and people are lined up around like a box.
Oh, okay.
So when people come in, they just do a circle, they just go around the circle, and you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily have to stand the whole time. But like when I do Brooklyn, if you see me in Brooklyn, you're gonna see me standing. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna see me standing.
You got to.
And when I get
I wish
home,
I was there
my
so I could
dogs be
just boo
barking.
him. I would boo him
What?
if I could. I would just sit. I would if I was there. I would just bring a lawn chair near your booth, and I'd just be booing you the whole time. I'd be like your own personal Uncle Ruckus.
And you'd be the first person to get karate kicked in a Comic-Con over the table.
Sometimes that crazy stuff like that and get more attention too. You never know. But,
that's true. I'd be like, yeah, that's my crazy cousin. Help buy a book and help me pay for his legal
buy
fee.
a book, he gets quality inquired.
Yeah, there you go.
Shut up, buy
every book.
I'm not stopping talking. I'm gonna keep getting on this.
We're not gonna keep you long, but I did want to ask you a question. Obviously, the other big thing in comics right now is AI. What are your thoughts on AI? Like,
no, let's just not. I don't want no purpose of it. I don't want to see it. As an artist, as you know, Javon, it's it looks pretty, but it does. Where's the heart? Where's the?
It's a copy machine. It's a copy machine.
Like you can't tell it to do everything. There's certain things that only artists.
You can't create original stuff.
Do, you know what I mean? So, no.
Now, how do you feel? There are a lot of people who, I think it was Danny who said it, who was like, well, what if I'm a writer and I want to use it to give like design ideas to the artist?
References? References, you mean?
Yeah, like a reference.
Because here's the thing. All right, so if you do it, say we have two different styles, right? So say they give it to you, and then you can't give it that same look that the reference is, right? So then he's mad. He's like, oh, this is not exact. Can you do it like that? You're asking, most times, from what I hear, people ask for too much detail in what they're looking for, because they're expecting it to be from their brains and not the artist's brains. This is why I'm glad I don't do this with other people. So many people ask me, I'm like, nah, I don't want the headache. But I'm actually trying to do it for some people. I recently did it for Danny. I don't know if you've seen it. I did a little drawing for him. But anyway, yeah. So I think that's kind of the main thing is that you'll have people that are really looking for something that's inside their brains, and then they can't really give it to the best of their ability, and they get angry at the artist because it's not what they want to be seen. So when you're using something that's high, like graphics, like the AI art, that's like taking it way up there. That's like professional. So the only way you're going to get someone like that is you have to pay them that type of money. So if you're not paying them like at least $150 for what you're doing, then you're going to probably be disappointed.
So there's an unintentional financial side effect to what Danny and people talking about getting an idea planned out or design for a reference or whatever. If you are a creator, you are a writer, and you need a book to be done, and I've had this argument with quite a few people. If you tell somebody I want the character to look like this, this, and this, and this, and that person does it, I personally believe the two of you created the character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people say the writer created the character.
Oh.
I've had this argument.
So if that's the case, then why didn't the writer do the artwork then?
So this is what I'm saying. This is unintended, because I think we're gonna see we might see this. Somebody uses the AI to create a reference for what they want and gives it to you, Dwayne, to draw. And then when the time comes, they're going to be like, I created this. This was my design. It was my reference. You just reinterpreted it, but it's my design. So I can see people trying to take money out of.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. As an artist, right? If someone gives me a reference to draw something, right? There's no such thing as copy and paste.
You're right.
If you give me a reference and you're like, yo, bro, I want you to draw Diana right here. I'm gonna draw her to the best of my ability. To make it look like, of course, like what you have, I'm gonna get all the elements, but it's not gonna be a carbon copy of exactly what you're sending me. So you're gonna either have the choice to accept what I'm giving you, or find someone else that can maybe do something closer to it. But you're never gonna find someone that's gonna copy and paste an art piece, because that's not what we do. We're artists, we're not printers. So you could use those things as references, but you have to understand that it's not going to look like what you're giving me. You have to give you some type of artistic design to that.
I agree with you. I think that I can see that being a thing where people say, but the idea came from my head and I put it into the AI, and the AI.
I think the problem with certain people that are creators, writers, whatever, is that they kind of have this kind of conceited side to them, that they believe that they're doing everything, and they don't want to give credit to where credit is due. It's everything that we do in a comic is a team based. No one does just one thing. There's the writer has the writer.
I mean, I do.
The artist, the colors puts in the colors. Like I don't do all the colors in my stuff. Never would I say, hey man, I did everything. This is me. No, I'm the artist, but I hired someone to do the colors. You know what I mean? I might say I'm the artist, and then I'll say colors goes down where the colors did the thing. But I'll never take 100% credit for it, because I understand that it's a joint process. You know what I mean? It has to be a team. I think people just want to do everything themselves so they can, either not have to spend much money. But I think that's the other thing too. Like,
listen, I have been open about that. Like, I would love to have a colorist, but I gotta pay a colorist, and I like to pay people. Like, there are a lot of people who be like, all right, well, I get you after, or da. And like, I don't want to do that. I want to be like, here's a check for the work that you did, and you know what I'm saying. Like I want to support people like that, but I can't, so I do it all myself.
Right, but you do what you can. You know what I'm saying? It's in your element. But for the writers and people like that, they want to try to just say that they're doing everything and it's all in their idea. I think that's wrong. This is a business. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand that although you're doing it by yourself and you're doing whatever, this is still a business, and you cannot have a business by doing everything yourself. No one has ever done it. It's not possible, and it's not going to be possible with the AR either. You can get really close, but it's still not going to have that same type of element that if I draw it or you draw it and have that same type of emotion. It's not going to happen.
I don't think it'll have the emotion. Excuse me, but I do think what the scary aspect of AI for me is, let's say somebody says, I want a book, but I want it to look like Dwayne Robinson's book. And the AI can pull and get as close as possible to Dwayne Robinson. Now, I might not have your heart, but for that person, they're going to be cool with it, because they're going to be like, I wanted this. This is close as I can get, and I didn't have to pay a dime.
Everybody wants this is like what
I'm just telling you.
Everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put the work in.
Oh, I agree with you.
Knows exactly what's going on right now. Everybody want to be famous because everybody feels that if they get the artist and they have the artist that makes the top, you don't necessarily have to have great art to be a great comic book writer or just have a great comic book. I've seen people with artwork and I'm like, how is this selling? This is amazingly bad. But it still sells because it's all of the above. It's all of the essence of everything that what makes a comic book a comic book. It's not just the writer, it's the artwork.
No, I agree with you. I'm just talking about from a financial point of view. That person is taking money out of your pocket, because instead of coming to you, Dwayne, they will go and get something as close to, like, if somebody went and was like, I want to do a comic book that looked like Javon, and then I got a comment, I was like, this looks like I could have drawn it, just not as good.
Right.
In my mind, I'm like, somebody owes me some money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You're aping my style.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you just took money out of my pocket because instead of you coming to me and saying, "Hey, I'm going to pay you to make this book," you decided to make a book as close as
I
possible to
think the
me.
only way it should be fair, right, is if you use the AI art and it charges only 200 or more.
I think we're going to get to.
Let's see people do it then.
Well, I think what we're going to get is, I think there's going to reach a point where the legal process is going to come in. Because the AI is pulling from existing art, right. There will come. It's like Napster. I've said this before. It's like Napster used to be. Like at Napster, it was totally free and you can take whatever. And then Napster, they screwed with the wrong people, the wrong artists, and that artist came to bear. And then next thing you know, Napster died. But it had already changed the industry.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Yes. So a change is happening.
I mean, I read somewhere that someone did a children's book with the ARR, and
yes. There's been several people that done
he got
stuff
mocked.
like that.
He got mocked. He got ripped apart for that.
Yeah, so
it was awful.
But
that joint had like 6 fingers,
which is good.
What'd you say?
I think the bigger problem. Go ahead, Dwayne.
No, go ahead.
No. My thing that I think is going to be a problem, particularly in the creative spaces, is that it's going to create a void that's going to be filled with mediocrity. People are going to be acceptable of a watered down version of something that already exists. So it's like, oh well, I just need an article, and I don't want to have to pay someone to write the article. I'll just do a really watered down chat GPT version, because all I need to do is basically copy that thing instead of actually be someone sat down and wrote this. Or I just need a script that's kind of like this. I don't need it to be exactly like this. And there's going to be a really low bar for quality. And the only thing I feel like that, like, you know, you guys are not only doing writing, but also in the sense of someone taking art, actual visual art, and it's just becomes this mediocre, watered down version of things that already exist. That's where I think the bigger it's a big problem.
The difference is, I think I don't think it affects me or Dwayne, right? Or and artists in general. And this is why. You build your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are building our respective brands on our style, our work, whatever you want to call it. I think brand always wins out. Not always. Brands win out a lot. So yes, you could go, I want something that looks like Javon. But if Javon comes out and goes, that's AI art, that's not my art, don't support that, then Javon's fans, or, you know, social media is powerful. And social media will be like, rip that. That's not even him. That's what happened with the children's book. As soon as that dude came out and said this is the AI children's book, literally people ripped them to shreds. And I think that's going to happen. And so if somebody is people are still going to come to, like, you could have an AI try to be Jim Lee, and people will know the difference. They'll eventually either know the difference or be told the difference.
Right.
And people will still want to come to Jim Lee for Jim Lee stuff because it's Jim Lee and they know it's Jim Lee.
Right. But
and I think
that don't want to pay the Jim Lee money.
Right. And those people are going to get, you know, like you said, like a poor imitation of Jim Lee.
Right.
You know, and so that's why it doesn't really bother me, because I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to be good because I know I can draw.
It bothers me to the point that I feel that people are having to use this as a way of making a comic book. That's what bothers me, because it takes away from an artist that needs to make money from making a comic book. You know what I mean? We're lucky enough to be able to write and do artwork. There's a lot of people out there that just draw, and they're looking to make money off of
right. I agree with you. I agree with you.
You just really just hurting somebody else's pockets, and in a unjustifiably way. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to look over alternate avenues. That's not an alternate avenue at all, and it shouldn't be. But people are using it this way, and they're using the excuse of, oh, because I want to try to, save on money. You have to put in the work. The work sometimes constitutes as money. You have to put in the money to get this comic book the way it's supposed to be. I understand change. You want to do things differently. That's a whole different ball game. But when you're using something like that, that's like, no. It's just
no. I get you. You're right. You're right. That's why I said it doesn't affect me because I can write.
Right.
And this is why I tell every artist that I meet, learn how to write, dude. Like I know it. What'd you say?
That's a hard thing to do. It's like
but it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing as like if you're a basketball player, right? And you're really good at a 3-point shot. Now you will only get as far as you're gonna get with a 3-point shot. Mm-hmm. You need to learn defense.
But here's my counterpoint though. There's a lot of role players in the world.
Right.
And role players are where artists are. They are the role players. So if I hire an artist, his role is to draw. That's it. I don't need someone to do the writing because I'm the writer. So
yeah, but I'm saying in regards to taking care of yourself. So right. The analogy, yes, there are role players, right? You're right. But we're reaching a point where it's like, okay, well, the role players are now being played by robots.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing
so,
to do, I can't.
But it's like any other skill, though.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not.
We disagree on
that. A person that is a writer uses a different type of creativity when it comes to creating something, opposed to drawing. When I'm drawing something, sometimes I'm not even thinking. I could just look at something and put two things together. But as a writer, it's a different process.
I agree. It's a different process, but it doesn't mean that you can't.
That everybody can do. Because then you're gonna.
I disagree, man. I think anybody can write.
No, I think
it's a practice.
I'll give you that, but I'm saying in the sense of writing something that is worth to put on.
Well,
make as a
practice. It's no different. I got you. No, I got you. I got you. It's no different than learning how to letter. Or learning how to color.
That's no.
Yes, it's a different skill.
Lettering is just simply, at its core, is to learn how to put things in a certain position and move from there. Then you move on to the creativity and the looks and the skills and things like that. But that's not something. That's like if you want, like, all right, if I also do the letters for my story, right? But there's at times when I first started, I was like, man, I need to hire letters because this is not where it needs to be. But I can learn to do it because I have all these other aspects that I need to do. So I don't have to focus on the other things.
Right.
And when you need to make money, and this is what you
No. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying stop everything you're doing and just like I'm going to be, you know what I mean? Like learn how to write a script. Learn how to take your idea, because that's like saying no artist can tell a story without a writer. I don't think that's true at all. There are artists that have stories. I think there are artists that have stories that want to get out, but they aren't practiced in the craft of writing. But if you practice the craft of writing, if you do it enough, you can get better at it. And the reason why I say that is because I didn't start out as a writer. I started out as an artist.
Oh, okay.
But I practiced as a writer. I practiced I even went to the point of writing a novel. Like I wrote I sat down and wrote a novel. It was terrible.
Right.
But I practiced. And then I took that knowledge and then I went and I learned, okay, how do you format a comic book script? And then I learned how to format a comic book script. And then what I did is I started learning from people who've written. Like I read stories, I read sample scripts, and you learn. and you just take what you know from drawing and then you apply it to the writing, because as the artist, we control the tempo of the story. We control the camera, everything like that. So as a writer, I don't do full flowery scripts. I do this person said this, put the camera in between, like real simple
screenplays.
Right. Very simple though. Like it's not like I know a lot of writers, the whole paragraph, and I like what's the bare bones that belongs in this panel. And then as the artist, I switch brains and then become the right artist, and then I will extrapolate from that. But I think if you're an artist and you're capable of telling a story with visuals, the potential lies within you to tell a story through the words as well.
That's where you say that's the difference.
But you have to cultivate and practice that skill.
But not everybody has that ability to do that. Sometimes people just can't do that.
No, I don't believe in can't, man. I don't believe in can't, man.
I'm all for it. I believe it. But there are people out there that just went to school for just art, right?
Right. I agree with you.
They only know how to make money from making artwork.
They only know. That doesn't mean that they can't.
Maybe, but that's what they're doing, and that's what they're going to continue to do.
But what I'm saying is, when I talk to people, when I talk to artists, I'm my advice to them is to learn how to tell your own stories, learn how to write your own scripts, learn how to do everything within the process, because you might reach a point where people aren't coming to you for jobs and you need to create your own lane. And if you know enough of the process, you can do the process yourself and not have to wait. Like, because there's always artists that are like, man,
I'm the other way around then.
I think I've always said that my artwork didn't start out looking like it did now. It started with boxes and shapes. I think anybody can draw, but not everybody is willing to put in the hours to become great at it. And to me, that's the difference. So people will come up to my table and they'll be like, "Oh, I can't draw. I'm like, you can draw. You just got to be willing to put in the time. Just like anybody can play basketball. Listen, anybody can play basketball. I didn't say anybody.
Well, you can learn the fundamental play. Yeah.
Anybody can become decent at basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Decent, not great, decent. And so, just like you said, that there are artists out there who's selling, and you're looking at it like, what is this? You can become decent as an artist. You can learn the fundamentals and become decent. Now, are there certain people that have inborn talent? I believe so. I believe that there are people who they just are naturally good at it. But any skill is a skill that is found, practiced, learned, and then built upon.
Right.
I
agree with you, but I think there's too
you just gotta be willing to put in the work.
There's too much of a gap for people to actually have to do all of that when they're making their money as just doing what they're doing.
But you do it on the side.
Then they have to change their whole lifestyle.
What are the top comic books with artists who are also writers?
I think he meant, what are the topics?
Where the comic writer and the artist are the same person.
Right now, non-indie. Well, right now it's different because it's not like, Eric Larson has been doing Savage Dragon by himself for years.
Yeah. You still got Todd doing his thing.
Todd has, well, see, a lot of it is once you reach a certain level of success, you got to put the pencil down because you're more business person than creator.
But Todd just came out with a whole new series of Spawn characters.
I think we function best as specialists. But again, it depends on what you want to do. if you just want to make comic books and you're not trying to be a mogul, then you can just make comic books. Like Tyler, the antagonist. He says it. You know, do you want to be a comic book creator or do you want to be a comic entrepreneur? And once, like Dwayne, you have a company, Ace. If Ace starts to blow up, eventually the responsibilities will become so great that you might have to start looking at somebody else to, at the very least, draw the book.
Yeah,
because there's a level of time that's involved there, right?
Right.
And so, but like Eric Larson is like, I just want to make Savage Dragon, and so I'm going to make Savage Dragon, and then he just makes Savage Dragon. But like Todd did Spawn until the point where Spawn got too big and he had to bring in other artists to do it.
Right.
And so that's why we aren't seeing as much writer artists doing the work. I don't know if we function best as specialists, because Alex Ross is a decent writer, but he's an amazing artist. You know what I mean? Like, he does stuff all the time. Trying to think of names off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't think anybody that does.
I can't think of
I think I would be okay with writing a story, because for me there's a different type of process of it, and I feel like like we had this conversation before, which one was more important, the writer or the artist. Now I feel like the writer aspect is the person that basically is the one that is really coming up with the important juices of it. The artist adds to it 100%. So it's still a joint process, but the writer is the one that's going to always, because it's coming from him and only him. There's pieces and bits and pieces that the artist will provide to help make this story more, whatever you want to call it. But the writer is the one that's really coming up with the story. Like, I don't think an artist can come up with something. Just an artist come up with some stories that we have. You think? Yeah. I don't think an artist can do that.
I feel like the artist the artist sets the tone, does the they set the tone, they set the environment,
right?
Like,
but that's not the story though.
Well, it's a part of the story.
That's what I said. I didn't say it wasn't. I said it's a joint thing, but I'm saying that the nuts, the real protein, the juices of it all come straight from the writer, because the writer can look at something, right, and then the artist, I can draw something, right? Boom. This is what you said, and then he can go, you know what? I got an idea. I can add something to this. And then he can add something that just from what he was looking at. The artist can't do that because he's taking it from what the story is coming from. So for me, I feel like the story part is the most important part.
Well, I can agree on that. It's
still a team thing, 100%. But the writer aspect is the most important because it's coming from nowhere. So I don't think that would a specialty an artist can just do that. That's why I was saying I don't think a person that is an artist can just one day say, I'm gonna make a comic book. That
happens all the time though.
I'm saying this.
John Byrne did that. John Byrne started out like that.
There's definitely levels to it though.
Todd started out like that.
Right. These are okay. These are
Eric Larson started out like that. Jim Lee everybody from Image started out exactly like that.
Right, but they took the time to do it before they stepped into the plate, and they were already good with what they.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, all of those stories were not just like they just.
Eric and Todd. Todd didn't write anything until, like, if I'm not mistaken, and please somebody tell me I'm wrong, but Todd didn't write anything until the first his Spider-Man series, and that was only like 10 issues worth.
Right.
That's only like 10 issues, huh?
As a what?
No, that was his first time as a writer.
Okay.
That before he did Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
And even Spawn, I believe he had some help.
I mean, the characters the characters is taken from people that he knew and stuff.
No. I know, but I'm just saying, like, Jim Lee wasn't writing books before he started Wildcats.
That's what I'm saying. They all start. They didn't just come with just the best thing. They gradually got up to.
Oh,
it.
I thought you meant writing. What they were writing?
No.
No, you're just talking.
Just saying they were, taking these ideas and they were getting, constituting some ideas and putting things together. And it was like, you know what? I think I got something here. And then they wrote it. They wrote it. That these people that are been doing art for however years or whatever, they're just good at doing that one specialty. Their story is not gonna be to par to put out a comic. They can do it if they feel like the confidence is there. But a lot of times I see that in people's comics. You see a really good artwork, but the story is way down. But because the artwork is good, people are still going to give it a shot. But eventually, people are going to be like, the story's And then you have people to this is like, you know what? The story is but I love that artwork. And then you have those people. But then there's a lot of people that are just like, nah, I can't deal with this story, bro. It does not.
Actually, it's funny you bring that going. I've seen that on the other on. With different types of anime and manga too, where the artwork or the animation is fantastic. You love the art designs, but the story is absolute trash. Or you know that there's this great story that someone's going to adapt into an anime, but when they adapt it into an anime, the artwork suffers or the animation suffers, and you're like, why did you butcher this great story with your trash work?
I mean, but I don't say it the other way around too with One Punch Man. One Punch Man, the guy
the original artwork for the
artwork was terrible, but he had a great story. The artist was like, "Yo, I got you," and he put it together. He made it better. So I think, like I said, these things you got to take those things in consideration.
I mean, this is probably an agree to disagree thing.
I don't know what the guy's name is. I hate to take shots because I'm not trying to. I'm just using it as an example. But I remember I seen this guy. He had a really, really good comic artwork, cover and everything. It was really good. And I was like, man, and it exploded. Everybody was like checking it out and telling everybody to download it. I think it was on Webtoons. And people started to review it and people started to read it and was like, this is really bad. Not only is it bad, but it's got errors, needed an editor.
Well, see, that's a different conversation.
I'm not saying that's
jumping into a whole deep.
I'm just saying just the story as a whole was really bad. Like it was.
No, I got you.
And people stopped really buying, or even I think he stopped doing comics after his second issue.
I think
I don't think it's possible to do better. There are people. I'm not saying that you can't.
How you going to say that when you are a writer artist?
I'm just saying that there's levels to it. You
are a writer artist.
Right, what I'm saying is that, all right, but what I'm doing is, right, I took a long time to do my story. I didn't just say, all right, well, I need to change the game. I'm going to do a story now.
Right,
that's the difference.
But that's what I just said. But that's what I just said.
Even so, not everybody has that. Everybody can do this.
Dwayne, hold on. That's what I just said, though. You said it took you a long time to figure it out and get to the point where you could do the writing, right?
Right, but I started as a writer.
You weren't an artist first?
Right. My best friend taught me how to draw. So I always had ideas and stories in my head. There's always this rocking in my head. So nowadays I can come up with a story like that. It doesn't take much. You can give me three different parts of it and I'll come up with a story.
So Dwayne, when I said that a writer can become an artist, and you looked at me dead in my face.
But here's the thing. It's more to the story that I was gonna say. When it came to the drawing, what I was saying though, overall, was that there are certain people that just are talented enough to do all of these things. Not everybody is talented enough to do everything. There's some people that only are good at just one thing, and they know this, and they stick to it, and that's perfectly fine. Now, every now and again, you might get
Hold on, go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you might get people out there that are good enough to somehow have it click in their heads that they can do both, but not everybody has that ability.
Right, but I'm not saying. But see, I think there are levels to it, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
It'll be shown when it comes out that it's not that good.
Well, but again, we just talked about that there are people
Yeah,
whose
I mean,
artwork, like, listen, like some people is like really rudimentary artwork, but it fits the story that they're trying to tell, and so it becomes like Dogman. Let's use Dogman. Dogman's is very cartoony, very rudimentary drawn. Like it's not bad. Like it's not bad, but it's not like Jim Lee. You know what I mean? But it fits the story that he's trying to tell, and it's insanely popular. So I am saying that if you want to be an artist and you are willing to learn the fundamentals,
But
put in the work.
What's the thing that makes that story good? Is it the artwork or is it the story?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never read a Dogman story, but kids love it. So something's clicking with him.
That the artwork is not very good, right?
I didn't say it's not really good. I said it's rudimentary and it's cartoony.
Right.
That's two different.
What it is, like you said, there's levels to it, right? So that's
right.
But
Dwayne, my point is, if you want to do something, if somebody came to me today and said, I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but I want to learn how to draw.
Right. I'm not going to tell them that they can't.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at Dion. I'm laughing at this.
There's definitely going to be a level to it. And it also depends on what you're doing, what you're trying to put out.
If you want to be an artist and you want to make comic books, like if you came to me and said, I've never drawn before and I want to make comics, and I said, bet, this is what you need to do. Read this book, take these classes, do this, put in the time, and you put in 5 years worth of work and you literally commit yourself to it, because it takes time. Nobody comes out the womb great.
Right.
You can become at the very least, a decent artist.
But the thing is that not everybody wants to settle for just that. That's why.
That's what I said, Dwayne.
What I'm saying is that there's levels to it. I'm not disagreeing.
Even if you get to if you can make it to the point of if you can make it from not being an artist at all to a decent artist, you can take another step in it. But it's all about drive, which is why I use the analogy of the basketball player. The basketball player who's really good at shooting threes, but wants to become as great as LeBron James. Now, you're probably never going to become as great as LeBron James because there are genetics involved, there's talent, whatever. But
this is what I was referring to, me and you, or I can do both.
But you can get as good as you if you decide to truly dedicate yourself. If you are a bench player and you want to rise to the level of being a great player, you can do it. It just takes time and effort. Look at Patrick Beverley. I give you Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley was like in EuroLeague and all that other stuff, and he worked his off to get to the NBA. But I'm pretty sure
you consider him a good player, though.
I consider him a decent to good player. He's good at what he does.
Right, which is a specialty.
But he had to become a better shooter to get to the NBA.
You think he's a good shooter?
Better shooter.
Do you think he's a good shooter, period?
He's decent enough to make a shot if he's wide open.
He's a defensive specialist.
Let me rephrase it. If Patrick Beverley can hit a wide open three, if you kick the ball out to him,
he's in the NBA. Everybody.
That's my point, Dwayne.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that's
not everybody can do that. Dwayne, you and I played it, Dwayne. If you and I played in the NBA right now and they kicked out an open three, I am very, very, very secure in saying that in the actual game, we probably ain't making that shot.
I don't know. I played basketball, so I don't know. But
you in the NBA with a defender running at you with freaking,
and I was a shooter. That's my specialty. I was a shooter.
Okay, all right. So, I want to see this.
My thing is this: it's like I said, it's levels to it, and not everybody is okay with it.
I agree with their levels.
That they cannot eventually get to a better level, but there's certain people that just have it. Like
No,
this
I
wrestling.
agree
All right,
with
let's use
I
wrestling.
agree with you.
You're wrestling.
I agree
right?
with yes. Let's
Okay,
this,
so
this is a great analogy. Let's go with it.
Use a wrestling reference. Right? There's many wrestlers that are good enough to be mid-carders, but they won't be in the main event. And that's what they have to just be okay with that. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Fine.
I agree.
That's always that's never going to be a problem.
But every now and again,
right.
But every now and again, you get that mid-carder who elevates.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But what I'm saying is the majority of the people that take that, they just don't have that level to be the it factor or to be the main event. They're going to be down here.
But that person is still a mid-carder.
Right. I'm not
using that analogy,
mm-hmm.
you can work your way to the point where you are a mid-carder.
Right.
And if you're a mid-carder in comics who can just tell a decent story, you can tell the story. You have good fundamentals. You can tell a story. You're not flashy. But you're solid and you're good. You can make a good career in comics being fundamental and consistent.
I think you can make.
I'll even give you another. I'll give you another analogy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if you, that's why I said the fundamentals. Like if you can become consistent and have good fundamentals, especially good anatomy and perspective. Like anatomy and perspective is nothing really but math and stuff like that. Like that, if you can become those things which aren't talent based, perspective is not talent based. It's not. Like it's not, because there are architects who can't draw worth a damn that can do perspective, because it's just literally horizon line, dot, line, filling in like that. And I'm saying that if you want to do something, to me, it's about the want. Like talent is necessary to take it to, like you said, the main event level. Like absolutely, me and you, we agree. Using the basketball analogy, if you want to be a all-star, an all NBA player, 9 times out of 10, you got to have that it talent already.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely
right.
But if you got the drive to want to be in the NBA, even if you 5'8", 5'9", but you build and you work your behind off, you can become Isaiah Thomas.
Where's Isaiah Thomas now?
I mean, that's because of injuries.
What about old boy?
That's not because
that's injury. Yes, it is.
His height was what played the part.
No, but his injury. If he didn't get injured,
Brad Smith knew that he was going to be a
Van Fleet.
That's why
Fred Van Fleet is a perfect example.
Of course, everybody isn't going to be LeBron, but you can be like it's still a possibility. I think he's right at or might be under, but that was a dude who didn't. He had to grind his way into the league and grind his way into the spot.
Yeah, he's 6'1".
That man, like he's making good. He's making great money now.
Mm-hmm. Right, but
he was not somebody projected out to be that good. Now, is he LeBron James? No, of course not.
I'm okay.
And there's always going to be people.
That's what I'm saying. That there's not everybody is going to be.
I agree with that.
Shelf.
I agree. We are in agreement on that.
No, we're not saying everybody's going to be top shelf. No one will ever be.
But what I'm saying is you can go from
being good.
You can go from being nothing to solid. Not even to decent. You can make it to decent.
Now,
can we agree on that?
I'd say solid. I don't know about decent.
I mean, if you're solid, you're decent.
I think
that's kind of the same.
I don't think
who's a solid artist for you?
I don't think anybody is solid because I think art is all opinionated.
Well, then Dwayne,
then they kind of defeat the whole purpose of the entire.
You said not all of us are Goku. Some are Vegetas, most are Krillins. I'm just saying that there are a lot of you can make money being a consistent artist who is sound fundamentals and has good anatomy, and those things don't necessarily take talent. Those things just take practice, and you can have a solid career. There are a ton of writers out there looking for that. You can tell, you might not be the flashiest dude, but let's say I need an artist to do a police story, right? And they just need to be able to tell a good story. Hell, you can make a job as a what do you call them? Storyboarders. You don't have to be flashy to be a storyboardist.
No,
but the
use stick figures as storyboard.
Yeah, right. But the point being is you can go from 0 to at the very least 35, 40. You can do that. But not everybody has the desire, is my point. Not everybody has the desire. It's not about whether they can do it. It's about, do you want to put in the time? It's the same way where you have those people who come up to you and they say, I want to make a comic book. And you're like, okay, cool. Start. Make a comic.
Right.
And they're like, that person don't want to do it. Once you start trying to figure out reasons in your head about how you can't do it, that person's don't want to do it. The person who wants to do it will sit at their kitchen table and start. And that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That person who has that internal desire to get to do something, that person, that desire, that work ethic will take them far. It will take them a lot farther than they would like to believe, because it can make them a decent artist. At the very least, a decent artist. And there are a lot of people looking for decent artists out there. That's all I'm saying. I know you think it takes. I'm not saying they're gonna be LeBron James. They might not be LeBron James, but they could be Marcus Smart.
That's where I think that's where it kind of clashes, though. You know, I don't think everybody is looking for a decent artist. I think most people, most writers are looking for someone that can have something that makes them stand out opposed to everybody else.
And that's a different discussion.
What I'm saying. That's why there's the specialty guys, the artists that can do these things. Now you're telling these people that this is their number one thing. This is the only way they know how to make money. Now they have to go back and try to figure out something else that might be subpar when it comes to their writing aspect.
But every
I'm saying that they can't.
Every industry requires an evolution at some point.
That's not fair, though. I
didn't say it was fair. We're not talking about fair. If we were talking about fair, there would be no AI.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
But I'm talking about if you're trying to survive in a changing industry, in my opinion, if you want to survive in an industry that is changing to the point where they're trying to phase out traditional human artists and writers. Actually, Jamari made the point. If you're trying to survive in that industry, it behooves you to find a way to make yourself self-sufficient and irreplaceable. I take pride in the fact that I can do every part of my comic book to the point where I don't need nobody. I would love to get to the point where I get help, but I don't need nobody. If I want to make a comic, I make a comic. The comic gets made. A lot of people don't want to learn how to do that. It took me time to learn how to letter, to learn how to color in the correct way, to do the graphic design. Mind you, I do have schooling. Like I went to school for a lot of this, but to put it all together, it took time. Now, like you said, a lot of people don't want to do it. That's fine. That's true. I'm saying if somebody asked me for my opinion on what they should do, this is what I would tell them. Whether they want to do it or not, that's up to them.
Can I bring? I'll give you a good example of this. So, I teach English. I teach writing, and the misconception many of my students have is you're either a good writer or you're not. And what I have to try to get them to understand is I'm not looking for you to be a great writer. I'm not looking for someone who can write a novel. I'm looking for someone who can understand the basic things I need you to do. I need you to be able to follow directions and give me certain things in an essay. That's it. Can you follow the directions here? I'm not looking for you to be Stephen King. I need to know that you can follow this and that you can disseminate the information I'm asking for and process it in the fashion that I need you to do it. Now, are some people are inherently better at that? Yes. Do some people have a better understanding inherently of voice tone and mood when it comes to writing? Absolutely. But I'm not looking for it in that format. I'm looking for, can you do this in the baseline? Now, when you want to get into the tougher stuff, when you want to start talking about mood, tone, and style and voice, then that's more advanced. That's if you are literally trying to get into the bigger part of it. And I think you can look at it from the same standpoint of storytelling. You can look at it from the standpoint of the visual element. Somebody could teach you how to draw Pikachu. Are they going to be able to teach you how to draw Pikachu as well as the people who have to do it for a living? Maybe not. But you can draw Pikachu. You can draw Goku. Just depends on the style and how well and how much work you're willing to put into doing it. And some people are going to be better at that part. Some people are going to be better at this part. Some people are going to be better at storytelling. And some people are going to be they're just going to be at the functional level. If I can teach you to just do the bare minimum, that's a win on that front. And I think if you compare it in this sense, if you have somebody who's a better artist, but they want to get an idea out and they don't have a writer, they can learn how to at least create a thing. We have that problem with directors all the time. Some directors are all fire and flash, but they can't tell a story or write a script to save their soul.
Yeah, I say that's Zack Snyder.
Right, but
George Lucas is
there are
terrible.
But again, there are a lot of writers who got better at it. I mean, excuse me, a lot of directors who got better at writing because they kept doing it and they get better at over time. Because the more you do something, the more you put in the work, you should get better at it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying dudes are jumping out fully formed doing Watchmen. But, you know, if you keep doing something over time and you keep learning, just like art, you know, you'll get better at it. But it was an interesting conversation. I got to be honest with you. I didn't know how we got there, but I enjoyed it. I might have to put a poll up or something. We have to talk about it. You know, I might bring it up on top 5. It's a really interesting discussion on limitations, and you know, glass ceilings and stuff.
It's a good conversation on limitations and expectations as well. You know what I mean? I think a lot.
There's also something to be said about the struggle of it.
I still think I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jamar.
I'm just saying there's definitely there's kind of a level cap for some people. There's definitely going to be a level cap. It's just like you said, everybody ain't going to Steph Curry. Nobody can do what Steph Curry does on the court because he's been trained and he had some skills that he probably picked up from his father that some other people will never be able to pull off. Now, could you teach yourself to be a pretty decent three-point shooter? Jason Kidd did. He did not know how to shoot when he came into the league. He became known as a spot-up shooter later on in his career.
To me, a great example of it, and this is again a guy who had, and I'll end on this, who had great talent, who clearly had athleticism and talent, but people thought he was limited on the type of player he was going to be. Jaylen Brown. When Jaylen Brown came in, they looked at him as just a defensive player. First, they looked at him as a defensive player. Like he was just he was coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. He got better at defense, got better at his shot. He got better at his three-point shooting. Then he got better at his ball handling. Then he got better. He went from riding the bench to now he's probably going to be all NBA right now. Because he put in the work.
Yeah. I mean,
but again,
Jason
he might never be Michael Jordan. But you know, it's the same saying as if you shoot for the moon, even though if you don't make it, you'll still be amongst the stars. That's how I feel about everything. Like If you have ambitious, you are an ambitious dude, Dwayne. You are an ambitious guy. You got your own company. You, sir, are shooting for the freaking moon. Even if you don't hit every goal in your head, you gonna hit 50 to 75% of them goals. And that's flipping amazing. You might not be Marvel, but you're gonna be a damn good ace. You feel me? That's how I feel about everything.
Like I said, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that
yeah.
Every time when you are this middle ground, that always constitutes as is going to be acceptable.
There's no absolutes, so I can agree on that. There's no absolutes. Everybody, like you said, I agree. Everybody's not going to do it, but that's why I said it depends on the work ethic and the drive. To me, drive and work ethic will take you farther than talent. I believe this. Like
the Kevin Durant saying that he says.
What he says?
I think that's the other way around. It's hard work pays off, but I forget how it goes. I messed that up. Whatever.
But no, like
it's like
if you think of the people, Kevin Hart is actually a very good example. Kevin Hart works. And would I consider Kevin Hart a better comedian than what's his name?
Anybody.
What's his name who died?
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac. Do I think Kevin Hart is as good a comedian as Bernie Mac? No. But he's more successful than Bernie Mac ever was. Let's keep it a buck.
True.
Yeah.
Because he works. That man works. His work ethic.
That he works. But the thing that makes Kevin Hart is successful now is not because of his comedy. It's because of the things that all his other interests that he got that has to constitute with comedy. But
he works. That's work,
right? But
that's work ethic. That's why. That's why other comedians. That's why you see some comedians ain't there. Because they probably not putting in the same work that he is. Not saying that they lazy.
Or they just didn't put in, the extra work to branch out to do something else.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Your work ethic will take you would take you farther than talent. Because there are a lot of talented people who ain't doing nothing because they don't have the work ethic. There are a lot of talented artists. There are a ton of talented artists out there. But they not where you are. Because they probably ain't working as hard as you. And I know you work hard. You doing your Kickstarter.
I tried it.
This Kickstarter right here. Nightfall number 3. You see how I brought it back, right? You see that?
Full circle.
I've been doing this for a minute. But yeah, he's putting in the work for this Kickstarter. And there are a lot of dudes that don't want to put in that much work, I know I put in work.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? And I know there are artists.
Is a lot of hard work.
Forget the by yourself part. I'm talking about I put in work getting the book done, doing the Kickstarters, going to cons. Like I say, standing up when everybody else around me is sitting down, talking to everybody when other artists just kind of sit there and try and let people come to. I'm putting in the work. I'm doing 2 podcasts. I'm doing da-da-da-da-da. There are people who don't put in that level of work, but will turn around and wonder why, who are probably better artists than me. That's fine, but you ain't where I'm at because you ain't you're not working as hard as I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to end on it, because Jamari done left us. So we're gonna end on it by saying Nightfall number 3 Kickstarter link. Go there, support the brother. How much? What we at now? What you at now?
Last time I checked it, we was at 1017. It dropped from 1057. So 1017.
Oh, what's your goal?
My goal is 1600.
All right, 1600, 10, 7, 6. Oh, so you over it?
Mm-mm.
Well, you said 17.
Yeah, no, 1017. I need
1,000.
I'm almost close to my goal.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You go see. Let's get them over the goal.
Yeah.
How much longer they got?
I believe 29 days.
You got 29 days. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna go support it. as soon as I get off. But go on and support Nightfall number 3, and check this man out at what's the next con you at?
The next con will probably be CradleCon.
CradleCon. All right. I might try to get that. Actually, I'm reaching out to them now, see if they're gonna put me on the wait list.
That one is actually pretty cool because they actually feed you, which is good.
They feed you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've been fed before, like breakfast,
water. They have candy.
Yeah.
Give you try.
I'm gonna have to make a drive to Long Island. I don't even know how long that drive is from here.
But you got to be careful though, because sometimes the cosplayers like to take the stuff. So.
All right. Well, thank you, man. This was a great conversation, man. I got to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect, but I mean, we went over. But you know me, if it's a good conversation, I ain't gonna stop it until we done. But like I said, Dwayne Robinson Jr. I'm sorry. When I hear the Robinson Jr. part, I hear House Party 2 in my head.
I get different things. I get Dwayne Rock Johnson, and I get Dwayne Wayne from a different world.
But now there's a part where he says Christopher Robinson Jr. The preacher in House Party 2 says Christopher Robinson Jr. So every time. But anyway, go and support the brother. Stop by his table when you see him. Don't walk by. Don't
promise to come back.
I'm walking by for no reason. I'm gonna walk by to look dead in the eye.
Don't avert your eyes. Say hi. Talk to him. Get a book.
Eye contact. That's what
eye contact. And we'll see. And
that was dominant.
Thank you guys for another episode of A Stoked Podcast. Creative talk of creative people. Have a great weekend. Come see me at Diaspora Con, Quinnipiac. I'm going to be promoting it probably a couple times tomorrow. So come check me out there. And in a couple weeks, I'll be at Boston Comics in Color Festival. So come check me there. If you can't see me one place, see me other place. And then y'all know I got my my tour, the Heat Wave Tour 2023 come through. I'm gonna be somewhere in the Northeast, so you can find me. All right, y'all have a great weekend. Thank you, Dwayne. We'll talk later, man.
All right, man.